Chapter 1179. What is Jura? Ajura is just Benshio's disciple. Well, strictly speaking, he is my disciple and disciple's disciple, Wang Kai said calmly. His tone was extremely arrogant and cold. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the middle stage of the out-of-body realm. He had to admit that his temperament, voice, and aura had changed drastically after he used the full God-level divine protection to transform into his Ajura form. In particular, the two children with ghost faces on the huge skeleton were even more terrifying. Ajura, you don't have to pretend anymore. I can recognize your appearance and aura. Since you have left the immortal realm, why do you still want to come back? Don't tell me you haven't destroyed the immortal realm enough? The Supreme Celestial Emperor said coldly. Haven't destroyed the immortal realm enough? Hearing this, Wang Kai couldn't help grumbling to himself. Along the way, his divine sense had been constantly probing the area, but he hadn't found any traces of damage. Host, this is only the border of the immortal realm. The real center has been destroyed by Ajura and no longer exists. As the system's notification sounded, Wang Kai finally understood. After half a day, the original center of the central continent deity land had been completely destroyed by Ajura. It was the kind of destruction that had completely disappeared from the world. Benshao has just said that Ajura is just my disciple and disciple's disciple. If he wants to show off in front of Benshao, he will have to cultivate for hundreds of millions of years. Wang Kai flapped his wings and said calmly, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Supreme Celestial Emperor, why are you talking nonsense with him? Why don't we just have a fight? That's right. Whether he is Ajura or not, we will only know after the fight. Many immortal venerables chimed in from afar. The Celestial Emperors frowned and their eyes flickered, but they did not say anything. Do we still need to fight? A Supreme Immortal Emperor, right? If you really want to resist Benshao, you will definitely die. Begging for mercy is useless. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a playful smile. Coupled with the face of an Ajura, it was truly terrifying. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully making a breakthrough and reaching the late stage of the out-of-body stage. The Supreme Immortal Emperor frowned as his expression flickered. When he thought back to how he was humiliated by Ajura, even now his heart was bleeding. Although he was angry, he was more afraid. Even though the Supreme Immortal Emperor didn't show it, he knew it very well. You'd better choose to submit now. A cultivator of 3 cultivation realms is simply as weak as an ant. It would be too easy for this young master to kill you, Wang Kai said indifferently. His expression was unfathomable, as if he really meant what he said. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Triple cultivator is as weak as an ant? The Supreme Immortal Emperor was stunned when he heard this. He looked at Wang Kai in horror and asked in surprise, Could it be that you have reached the 4th stage of the true virtue? That's impossible. How long has it been? If it was really the 4th stage of the true virtue, the Supreme Immortal Emperor knew that he was definitely not a match for him. You didn't believe me when I told you. Forget it. Since that's the case, I'll show you. Wang Kai pursed his lips and flapped his wings, releasing his aura. Triple cultivator. You actually reached the 4th stage of the true virtue, the Supreme Immortal Emperor exclaimed. What's going on? The Immortal Emperors and Immortal Primes were confused when they heard this. Judging from his aura, he was obviously at the 3rd stage of the true virtue. But why would the Supreme Immortal Emperor say that he was at the 4th stage of the true virtue? You haven't fought with Ajura before, so it's normal that you don't know. Ajura defeated me when he was at the 2nd stage of the true virtue. The Supreme Immortal Emperor shook his head and sighed. What? Everyone's expression changed drastically when they heard this. Didn't this mean that Azura had the ability to kill enemies who were one stage higher than him? Back then, when he was at the second stage of the true virtue, he could defeat the supreme immortal emperor who was at the third stage of the true virtue. Then, now that Azura had reached the third stage of the true virtue, he could definitely defeat the fourth stage of the true virtue. The supreme immortal emperor was only at the third stage of the true virtue. We made the right choice. Everyone looked at each other and secretly rejoiced in their hearts. If they were on the same line as the supreme immortal emperor just now, wouldn't they be finished now? Not to mention the third stage of the true virtue and the fourth stage of the true virtue, they couldn't even defeat the second stage of the true virtue. These fools really believed it. Wonkai was speechless. Originally, he wanted to tame them without making a move. Therefore, he followed the supreme immortal emperor's words and said that he was Azura. Wonkai had hinted that Azura had the ability to kill enemies who were one stage higher than him. Others might not know, but the supreme immortal emperor definitely knew. He didn't expect that he would succeed. I've already said that Azura is only Ben Shao's disciple. His ability is all taught by Ben Shao. The ability to kill enemies who are one stage higher than him is simply trash. Ben Shao can kill enemies who are two stages higher than him, Wang Kai said indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the perfected out-of-aperture realm. Little did they know that Wang Kai's current battle prowess was obtained by transforming into Azura by relying on the power of God. In fact, he didn't have the ability to kill enemies who were 4 stages higher than him. The third stage of the true virtue was already the limit. Why did you come to the immortal world again? Is it for the supreme Taoist scripture? The supreme immortal emperor asked in a deep voice. Supreme Taoist scripture. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expression changed slightly. The supreme Taoist scripture was the core of the immortal world and the strongest Taoist technique. Until now, only the supreme immortal emperor had cultivated it. Moreover, by relying on the method of the supreme Taoist scripture, he could go to other worlds to cultivate. This was the main reason why the supreme immortal emperor could become a true virtue. What is the supreme Taoist scripture? Wang Kai frowned and secretly communicated with the system. Host, the supreme Taoist scripture is the core Taoist technique of the immortal world. It is the strongest technique. You can use it to go to other worlds to cultivate. Host, you can also cultivate it, but it will cost you 100,000 bragging points. Wang Kai was extremely disdainful when he heard the system's notification. Even if he had 100,000 bragging points, he wouldn't cultivate a mere supreme Taoist scripture. One had to know that using a clone to go to other worlds would only cost a few hundred bragging points. I have no interest in your supreme Taoist scripture. However, I can accept you as my disciple and follow me to a stronger universe. This is your opportunity and also your opportunity, Wang Kai said indifferently with narrowed eyes. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Chapter 1180. Accept me as your disciple. Go to a stronger universe. Hearing this, the supreme immortal emperor was stunned. After a long while, he shook his head and laughed. No need. I just hope that you won't destroy the immortal realm. Sigh, you're too insensible. Do you know how many people in the 7 universes are begging me to accept them as my disciple? Wang Kai said indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the early stage of the spirit severing stage. Host, Wang Kai profession, immortal cultivator realm, early stage of the spirit severing stage immortal skills, none immortal skills, none immortal equipment, none bragging points, 2,000 experience points, 02000. Wang Kai glanced at it casually. After seeing that the experience points did not increase, he activated his will and closed it. No need for that. I've cultivated the supreme Taoist scripture. I can go to other worlds to cultivate with my own ability. The supreme immortal emperor shook his head and refused again. If possible, the supreme immortal emperor would definitely kill Azura to save his face. In that case, why would he want to become Azura's disciple? Wang Kai felt helpless in this situation. They wouldn't believe that he wasn't Azura. However, the supreme immortal emperor didn't want to follow him. One had to know that it would save him a lot of trouble if he could recruit a triple cultivation god as his assistant. After all, the supreme immortal emperor could continue to break through to the fourth cultivation god, or even higher. What a pity. Since you don't agree, then forget it. Wang Kai turned back to his original appearance and waved his hand. He turned to look at the supreme immortal emperor and said, "I'm here to pick up girls. I have nothing else to do. Immortal Emperor Qiushui, you stay. The others can leave." Whoosh! Hearing this, the supreme immortal emperor was stunned. The other immortal emperors and immortal sovereigns were also stunned. They didn't expect that the cold-blooded Azura, who almost destroyed the entire immortal realm, would want to pick up girls. On the other hand, Autumn Water Immortal Emperor's face was extremely pale. Her delicate body trembled as she pursed her red lips and said, You're not joking, right? I don't want to be with anyone." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone had strange expressions on their faces. Indeed, Autumn Water Immortal Emperor and Hunyuan Immortal Emperor, the two female immortal emperors of the immortal world, had never had an affair. No matter who came to pursue her, she had always ignored them. Now that a powerhouse like Azura had taken the initiative to ask for her, how could she reject him? The rest of the immortal sovereigns and immortal venerables wished that they were women. That way, they would be able to follow Azura. Mu Qingyan frowned and said puzzledly, according to her understanding of Wang Kai's reputation, this kind of thing shouldn't have happened. But Autumn Water Immortal Emperor was let go just like that. Oof, you're really not a good thing. Fairy Zhou stared coldly at Mu Qingyan. The figure of her idol in her heart had been completely destroyed until now. Why are you still pretending to be unconscious? If you don't get up, you'll end up miserable. Wang Kai looked at Su Zian, who was lying on the ground with his hands behind his back. Fairy Zhou had already woken up, but she, an immortal emperor, was still unconscious. Please let me go. I really don't want to think about the matters between men and women. Hunyuan Immortal Emperor Su Zian woke up, pursed her red lips, and begged. Just now, Autumn Water Immortal Emperor had successfully escaped from Wang Kai's evil clutches. She couldn't let Wang Kai have his way with her, right? Those rumors you heard are all slandering Ben Shao. In fact, Ben Shao is a very gentle and upright gentleman. Heaven and earth can testify to that. Wang Kai's forehead was full of black lines. He almost dug out his heart and showed it to her. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. If you don't believe me, then follow me first. When Ben Shao returns to the immortal martial domain, he'll show you what a real gentleman is. It can be said that there's no one more upright than Ben Shao in the world. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again. In his heart, he was cursing the person who spread the rumors thousands of times. Chapter 1181. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. The reward is 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking through to the late spirit severing stage. No, I don't want to go with you. Really, I hope you can find someone else. Go find Immortal Emperor Qiushui. She will definitely submit under your attacks. I guarantee it. Su Zian bit her lips as she spoke. It's over. Master's flirting with girls is going to fail. Fairy Zhou silently mused. Mu Qingyun also remained silent, but she was secretly worried in her heart. If Master is angry, this Hunyuan Immortal Emperor will suffer a calamity, right? He will definitely be toyed to death by Master. Yeah, I forget it. Since you don't believe in Ben Shao's character, then do as you please. I only hope you won't regret it in the future. After all, the number of women who can make Bin Xiao pursue is simply too few. Wang Kai shrugged and casually waved his hand. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. The reward is 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Thank you. Thank you so much for fulfilling my wish. Su Zian was extremely grateful. It wasn't because of Wang Kai's reputation. The most important reason was that she didn't want to talk about the matters between men and women. She only wanted to pursue the Tao. Don't be in such a hurry to thank me. Bin Xiao hasn't finished speaking. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled with an indifferent expression. Do you have anything else to say? Su Zian's delicate body trembled violently as her beautiful face turned as pale as paper. According to Wang Kai's reputation in the immortal martial domain, rejecting him would definitely lead to a tragic end. If that was the case, she might as well follow Wang Kai. At the very least, she would still be alive and could continue cultivating. Bin Xiao is no longer interested in you. However, you took the initiative to block Bin Xiao's path and even attacked him. You even used words to threaten him. This matter can't be settled just like that, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. Whoosh! As soon as he said this, Su Zian was immediately dumbfounded. She secretly thought that what should have come had really come. Now it could be said that she was extremely regretful. If she hadn't stopped Wang Kai's flying magic treasure, she wouldn't have fallen into this pit and couldn't get out. What do you want to do to me? Su Zian pursed her red lips and asked in panic. Be my maid for a year. Don't worry, I won't do anything inappropriate to you. Of course, you still have a second choice. At this point, Wang Kai's gaze turned slightly cold. He pretended to be indifferent and said, I don't think you will choose the second option. Could the second option be death? Hearing this, Su Zian was startled. She bitterly smiled and nodded, saying, Okay, I promise you. Until now, Su Zian had completely accepted her fate. As a powerful being, and an utmost powerful being at that, he would naturally not let the matter rest after being provoked by others. Even if it were an ordinary person, he would not allow himself to be provoked by others. Moreover, if Wang Kai was not as strong as Su Zian, the Han Yuan Immortal Emperor, he would definitely die. At that time, a Celestial Emperor would not discuss anything with you. Su Zian knew that Wang Kai was being very lenient by doing this. Master's plan is really good. First take her as a maid, then slowly pursue her. Could it be that he also took me as a disciple for this purpose? Fairy Zhou frowned and thought to herself. However, Mu Qingyun's thoughts were completely wrong. Master must be using this method to take the opportunity to get Su Ziyan, the Han Yuan Immortal Emperor, into his bed. Maid, to put it nicely, she is a maid. To put it bluntly, she is just a little lover that can be slept with at any time. Mu Qingyun secretly admired Master. The current Mu Qingyun did not know that he had embarked on a path of no return. Alas, this is your honor. Bin Xiao has not had a maid until now. I vaguely remember that there were many fairies who begged Bin Xiao to accept them. Unfortunately, Bin Xiao was not interested in that. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again. It was as if Su Ziyan had picked up a big bargain. It cannot be more real. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the perfect spirit severing stage. Host, Wang Kai occupation, Immortal Cultivator Realm, Perfect Spirit Severing Stage Immortal Technique, None Immortal Technique, None Immortal Weapon, None Bragging Points, 2,600 Experience Points, 02000 Chi Refining, Foundation Establishment, Inidia, Golden Core, Nascent Soul, Astral Projection, Spirit Severing Stage, Combination, Mahayana Stage. Wang Kai frowned, glanced at the system page, and closed it. Now that he had reached the perfect Spirit Severing Stage, he still needed to reach the Combination and Mahayana Stage. At that time, he would be able to reach the Divine Cultivator Stage. If he used the power of God, he would be able to reach the Divine Cultivator Stage. The day of dominating the Divine Cultivator world the magic world, the immortal cultivator world, and the special ability world is not far away. Even the first, second, and third universes will have to kneel at my feet. At that time, I will establish a supreme power that will suppress the ages and rule the heavens. Wang Kai said with his hands behind his back. His expression was unfathomable. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Clap, clap. Good. Master really has a great plan for revenge. At that time, I will be the second disciple of the supreme power. Mu Qingyan clapped her hands excitedly. Am I the eldest senior sister? Fairy Zhou was stunned. If that day really came, she would definitely be famous in the Zhou family. No. This young master still has other disciples. The eldest disciple is Zhu Beiji. The second disciple is Sha Wujing. The third disciple is Sun Wukong. The fourth disciple is Yu, Fairy Zhou. And the fifth disciple is Yu, Mu Qingyan. Wang Kai shrugged and said with an indifferent expression, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the early combination stage. Host, Wang Kai occupation, cultivator realm, early combination, stage immortal magic, none immortal skills, none immortal equipment, none bragging points, 2,800 experience points, 02000, inch still no experience points. Wang Kai glanced at it and nodded with satisfaction. He then closed it with his mind. With his hands behind his back, he said indifferently, Has your doppelganger listened to Ben Xiao's order and joined forces with the Lin family? I will give the order now. Su Zian quickly came to her senses. She immediately sat down cross-legged and floated in the air. She closed her eyes and secretly communicated with her doppelganger with her mind. I like to see who's the one who doesn't care about his life. Humph. Wang Kai furrowed his brows and coldly snorted with a fierce expression. Master, what about my matter? Fairy Zhou pursed her red lips and walked up to Wang Kai. She looked up at him and asked in a low voice. After coming to the central continent deity land, Wang Kai had promised to find a celestial emperor to assist him in his cultivation. Now, he had seen several of them. Chapter 1182. What's the matter? Wang Kai frowned and turned to look at her in confusion. Is it because I didn't do that to you? Wang Kai was stunned for a moment before he came to his senses. He immediately waved his hand and said, Don't worry. When Ben Xiao has time, he will make love to you. Don't worry. Ben Xiao is a man who values promises very much. He never breaks his promises. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. You said you wouldn't break your promise. Fairy Zhou was so angry that her face turned blue. He had obviously forgotten what he had promised her, but he still said it as if it were true. If you have to do it now, then let's go. We can play slowly in the palace. Ben Xiao knows 18 kinds of martial arts, including the 72 spring kicks. He will definitely make you feel good. Wang Kai grinned and laughed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the middle stage of the form synthesis realm. 18 kinds of martial arts. 72 spring kicks? Bounce? Could it be that Master's third leg can bounce like a spring? F***CK, is he that awesome? Mu Qingyun was stunned when he heard this. He was extremely envious. Thinking about it, only a supreme expert like Master could reach such a level, right? If Wang Kai knew what he was thinking, he would definitely give him a big slap. Although the meaning was correct, the metaphor was too bad. Master, when you were in the world of cultivators, you told me that when I came to the central continent deity land, you would find a powerhouse at the celestial emperor realm to assist me in my cultivation so that I can become a powerhouse who can take charge of a region as soon as possible. Fairy Zhou gritted her teeth and reminded him bitterly. She believed that if she didn't take the initiative to mention it, Wang Kai would completely forget about it. About that, Wang Kai slapped his forehead and said helplessly, I've already settled this matter for you. Can't Su Zian, the Han Yuan immortal emperor, be your second master? A majestic immortal emperor, a divinity cultivator, should be enough to guide you, right? Really? Fairy Zhou's eyes lit up when she heard this. Primal Chaos Immortal Emperor Su Zian, one of the two female immortal emperors in the immortal world. Her name must be extremely resounding, and her ability must not be low. Although not as good as Wang Kai, Fairy Zhou was very clear that there was no immortal emperor stronger than Wang Kai in the immortal realm. Even the leader of the immortal world, the supreme immortal emperor, took the initiative to retreat. Who else could be his opponent? Young Master Wang. I can assist her in her cultivation on your behalf. Su Zian opened her eyes and gently nodded with a smile. Now that he was fully protected, he had regained the status of an immortal emperor. They were no longer as submissive and fearful as before. I'll leave her to you to teach. Make her stronger as soon as possible. As for you, Wang Kai nodded and turned to look at Mu Qingyun. He didn't know any immortal cultivation method or divinity cultivation method, and they were all systematic things, so he couldn't teach them to Mu Qingyun. Otherwise, he would have personally taught Fairy Zhou how to cultivate. After all, cultivating together with a little beauty would definitely lead to many interesting things. Master, I'll just cultivate with you. I don't want to cultivate with others. Mu Qingyun took the initiative to answer. Her expression was very firm and full of sincerity. In her opinion, Wang Kai was the strongest, the most awesome expert. Compared to immortal emperors, he was simply too far behind. Even if she couldn't learn anything useful from Wang Kai, she still had to cling onto this thigh tightly. Sometimes, a person's reputation was more useful than strength. You're very smart. Unfortunately, Bin Xiao doesn't know any immortal cultivation method, so he can't teach you. Wang Kai grinned and said helplessly, Junior Brother Mu, if Master could teach us cultivation, I wouldn't have asked to cultivate with an immortal emperor. Fairy Zhou snorted disdainfully. Who didn't know that Wang Kai was the strongest expert? Unfortunately, she couldn't use Wang Kai to strengthen herself. The only thing she could use was his reputation. Supreme Immortal Emperor, from now on, I'll leave my fifth disciple to you to teach. Is there a problem? Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. No problem, but I won't teach him the supreme Taoist scripture. Soon, the Supreme Immortal Emperor's voice slowly rang out, and it was extremely resolute and decisive. He could teach him cultivation methods, but he would never teach him the supreme Taoist scripture. One should know that in the entire immortal world, only the Supreme Immortal Emperor was qualified to cultivate the supreme Taoist scripture. It's just a supreme Taoist scripture. You won't lose out if you hand it over to my disciple. At least, Bin Xiao will be of great help to you in the future. Wang Kai said indifferently. He thought to himself that if he was a triple cultivator of true virtue and used the power of God to reach the quadruple cultivator of true virtue, he would have sent the Supreme Immortal Emperor flying and snatched the supreme Taoist scripture. How could he still negotiate with him in such a calm and peaceful manner? However, even if the Supreme Immortal Emperor didn't agree, Wang Kai wouldn't force him. When his strength reached a certain level, it would only prove that the Supreme Immortal Emperor didn't have enough foresight and would suffer. Okay, I promise you, but you must swear that you will never learn the cultivation method of the supreme Taoist scripture from him, let alone cultivate the supreme Taoist scripture. This is my bottom line. Otherwise, even if I die, I won't compromise. The Supreme Immortal Emperor thought for a while and said in a deep voice, if Azura wasn't interested in the supreme Taoist scripture, the Supreme Immortal Emperor wouldn't have begged him to save his life. It was the same now. However, the supreme Taoist scripture was related to the fate of the entire immortal world. Even if he died, he wouldn't hand it over. It's just a supreme Taoist scripture. Don't worry, Bin Xiao won't cultivate it and will never cultivate it. Even if you give it to Bin Xiao won't even look at it. Compared to Bin Xiao's cultivation method, it's as weak as trash. Wang Kai said disdainfully as he shrugged his shoulders. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Mu Qingyun, you do it. Crack. Suddenly, the void was torn apart, and a long, dark passageway appeared within it. Mu Qingyun wasn't disappointed when she saw this. Even if she followed the supreme immortal emperor to cultivate, she was still Wang Kai's disciple. This way, she could obtain both fame and the cultivation method. Moreover, it was the supreme Taoist scripture, the strongest cultivation method in the immortal world. Wouldn't that be wonderful? After Mu Qingyun left, Wang Kai waved his hand and said indifferently, "You too go and cultivate. Ben Xiao needs to go to the mortal world and experience the life of a mortal." Chapter 1183. Eastern Celestial Land, Immortal Realm. Wushan Town was a small village in a mortal kingdom. There were no cultivators here. The strongest people were hunters and warriors who often hunted. Of course, the so-called warriors only knew some of the moves of the Jianghu. They were just a bit stronger than normal people. If they had to be compared, they were only comparable to martial disciples. Wang Kai transformed into coarse hemp clothes, straw sandals, and a willow branch in his hand. His appearance became ordinary, and his figure was moderate. He was the type that wouldn't stand out in a crowd. "Young man, look at your sloppy appearance. You must have nothing to do, right?" Wang Kai, who was walking leisurely on the street, was stopped by a middle-aged man. Hearing this, Wang Kai was quite curious. He nodded and said, "That's right. I really don't have anything to do. It's just that no matter what I do, I can do it perfectly. Moreover, it's too perfect, so no one dares to use me." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the late stage of the combination realm. Is that so? The middle-aged man was a bit stunned. He didn't expect this young man to be so good at bragging. She was too perfect. She probably couldn't do anything and couldn't eat enough, right? But when he thought about the place he hired him to go and what he did, it didn't matter. Thinking about this, the middle-aged man laughed. He rubbed his hands and said, "Young man, based on your face and accent, you must be from another place, right?" "That's right. I'm indeed from another city. It's because no matter what I do, it's too damn perfect that I'm envied by others. I had no choice but to leave the bustling city and come to this barren place where even birds don't shit." Wang Kai swung the willow branch, his face filled with pride. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Hearing this, the middle-aged man was completely dumbfounded. He swore that he had never seen someone who could brag like this. Moreover, he was a young boy who looked like he was 17 or 18 years old. Although his appearance was ordinary, he had a way with words. "Well, young man, I have a good thing to recommend you to do. I wonder if you are willing to do it?" The middle-aged man chuckled. At the same time, he was afraid that Wang Kai would not agree. So he continued to tempt him. 1 gold ingot a month, food and accommodation are provided, and you could be together with the beautiful young lady. What do you think? 1 gold ingot a month, food and lodging were provided, and he could even stay with the beautiful miss? Hearing this, Wang Kai was startled. He looked at him playfully, touched his chin, nodded, and asked with a smile, "This is a good job. Tell me, what is it?" "Servant. The servant of the eldest miss." The eldest daughter of the Lin family was Lin Yan's personal bodyguard, also a martial arts training partner. "Of course, I can give you an ingot of gold for the first month. How about that? This job isn't something that anyone can get just because they want it." The middle-aged man chuckled. "A servant. The servant of the eldest miss of the Lin family. He could give him an ingot of gold as a martial arts training partner?" Wang Kai was enlightened. It seemed like this job wasn't impossible. It was just that no one dared to do it. Those who had done it must have been beaten to death by the so-called eldest miss of the Lin family. "No problem. I'll take this job. Shall we go?" Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather indifferent expression, "Young man, are you kidding?" The middle-aged man didn't believe him. He stared at Wang Kai in a daze and probed, "Do you have a family?" Family? Yes, I do. From my 80-year-old mother to my 3-year-old son and daughter, my entire family depends on me. Wang Kai shook his head as he spoke. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the perfected unity realm. Then where is your family? Have they come to Wushan Township? The middle-aged man frowned as he asked in a low voice. No, they are currently deep in the mountains. They depend on me to bring them food and clothing every month. Don't ask about this. Just hurry up and take me there. Wang Kai waved his hand as he spoke casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Can you tell me the exact location of your family? The middle-aged man asked. Wang Kai frowned as he heard this. He looked at him in confusion and asked, Why do you keep asking about my family? Could it be that this job is very dangerous and I can make mistakes at any time? Do you want my family to suffer? Oh, no, that's not it. Definitely not it. The middle-aged man hurriedly shook his head. Frowning, he thought to himself, Then what should I do? If something really happens to him, I still don't know where his family lives. How am I supposed to pay his family? Forget it. Life and death are up to fate. If he dies, that's because he was greedy. Finally, the middle-aged man convinced himself. Nodding, he said, Fine, then I won't ask. Let's go. I'll take you to the Lin clan. Let's go. Wang Kai glanced at him calmly. He could easily tell what a mortal was thinking with a single glance. It seemed that his suspicions were correct. This middle-aged man definitely didn't have any good intentions. As for this job with the Lin clan, it definitely wasn't a good thing either. However, if it were an ordinary person, perhaps something might happen. But for Wang Kai to have something happen to him, it was most likely impossible. The Lin clan. Led by the middle-aged man, Wang Kai arrived at the manor of the #1 clan of Wushan Township, the Lin clan. Hey, isn't this Mr. Tiger? What? You brought another newcomer. Are you going to give him to the young miss? Haha, you're going to make a fortune again. Hurry up and go in. The young miss has been waiting impatiently these past few days. The guards in front of the door glanced at each other. Grinning, they stared playfully at Wang Kai. In response, Wang Kai pretended that he didn't know anything. With a wooden expression, he followed behind the middle-aged man, entering the Lin clan manor. Very quickly, they arrived at a courtyard known as the Martial Pavilion. Around the large training field, there were many weapon racks. At this moment, there was a girl wearing a white dress. Holding a long sword, she was in the middle of the training field, practicing her sword moves. Her moves were very ordinary, very ordinary. She didn't have any immortal energy or spiritual energy. She was just a young miss who only knew how to use her moves. Looks like she's not bad. 21 or 22 years old. Although her looks can't be described as peerless, they're close. Top quality. Wang Kai lightly nodded, secretly praising her. Chapter 1184. Miss Lin, I brought him to you. The middle-aged man grinned mischievously as he ran over to Lin Yan. His groveling manner made him look no different from servants. Oh, Lin Yan blinked as she retracted her sword. She glanced at Wang Kai and frowned. Isn't he a little too frail? No. Miss, you don't know this. He is very resilient. He will definitely help you improve your martial arts skills. The middle-aged man hurriedly tried to promote himself. Forget it. Stay and try. Go to the cashier to get your money. Lin Yan nodded and spoke impatiently. She waved her sword and pointed it at Wang Kai. Come here and fight with me. Miss, fight with you? Are you sure? Can you defeat me? Wang Kai rubbed his nose and pretended to be bashful. Kid, don't spout nonsense. Miss Lin is an expert in martial arts. Even if you can defeat her, you have to pretend that you can't. You have to give in to her. Do you understand? Otherwise, you and your family will all die. Also, it's too late for regrets now. Once you step into the Lin family's house, you can't leave unless you lie down. Of course, if you have the ability to win the favor of the young miss, you might be able to raise your status to a higher level. The middle-aged man walked over to Wang Kai and sneered coldly. However, just as he was about to leave, he paused and asked in a low voice, "Can you tell me the exact location of your family? Don't worry, I won't do anything to them. This is for your own good. There's no need for that. You can go." Wang Kai glanced at him nonchalantly. He was so considerate of his family. After all, he wasn't a bad person. However, it was indeed inhumane of him to send people to their deaths. However, there were rules in this world, so Wang Kai didn't want to interfere. Of course, if necessary, he wouldn't let him off. It could be said that this action of the middle-aged man had saved his life. However, he didn't know if he would be able to protect himself in the end. After the middle-aged man left, Wang Kai strode over to Lin Yin and extended his hand. "Before we fight, I have a few questions for you. Ask me." Lin Yan's beautiful eyes fluttered as she pressed her red lips and smiled faintly. "Go ahead. Don't you know that in the past, your sparring partners were deliberately going easy on you? Maybe they were all killed by you?" Wang Kai asked with narrowed eyes. "What? What did you say?" Lin Yin was infuriated. She brandished her sword and said coldly, "Nonsense. They died because their martial arts weren't strong enough. Yet they were greedy and came to be my sparring partner. In the end, they all died because of greed. As for what you said about giving in to me, that is absolutely impossible. My martial arts and swordsmanship are definitely #1 in Wushan Township." Do you have to be so agitated?" Wang Kai touched his nose and glanced at her speechlessly. "Since you are already #1, why do you still need to find someone to spar with? In the end, they won't be a match for you. What do you know? Looks like you're also a greedy good-for-nothing. Do you still think that you can live to get an ingot of gold? Hurry up and attack. I hope you have some skills." Lin Yin snorted disdainfully. "Greedy good-for-nothing? Who are you calling AB *TCH? UB *TC? UB *starred? Buzz." Lin Yin was infuriated. She gritted her teeth and brandished her sword, charging towards Wang Kai with every step she took. "How dare you call yourself a martial arts expert with such skills? A swordsman? Forget it, you piece of trash." Crack! Wang Kai pursed his lips in disdain. He took a step forward and blew a puff of air at the sword, causing it to shatter into pieces. Even Lin Yin was sent flying into the air. Lin Yin was so frightened that her face drained of all color. She fell from the sky and fainted in the end. She believed that even if she didn't die from the fall, she would be crippled. "Sigh, you're so weak and pitiful." Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and summoned her over. Holding her in his arms, he lowered his head and kissed her cherry lips. She was jolted awake by the influx of spirit energy. "You." Lin Yan's face turned crimson as she struggled to get out of his embrace. When she opened her eyes, she saw Wang Kai kissing her. If it had been anyone else, Lin Yin would have ordered Wang Kai to be executed. However, she couldn't do that now. After all, she had met a very powerful expert. If he could be so powerful with just a puff of air, how powerful would he be in a fight? "Why, aren't you awesome now? Didn't you say that you wanted to kill me? Why couldn't you even take one blow? How dare you call yourself a martial arts expert with such skills? Are you a swordsman?" Wang Kai folded his hands behind his back and chuckled playfully. "You." Lin Yin was so embarrassed that she couldn't show her face. She gritted her teeth and said, "Did I really kill those people on purpose?" "Of course not. Although your skills and swordsmanship are impressive, you are still stronger than ordinary people." Wang Kai shrugged as he spoke. "Then, am I not the strongest person in Wushan town?" Lin Yin frowned as she asked in a low voice. Her beautiful eyes were filled with indignation. Wushan town. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and scanned the entire town. He shook his head and said, "There are about 5,000 to 6,000 people who are stronger than you." "What? 5,000 to 6,000? That's impossible. There are only 500,000 to 600,000 people in Wushan town." Lin Yin flew into a rage out of humiliation. 500,000 to 600,000 people. How can a weak girl like you rank in the top 5,000 to 6,000? What else do you want? What's more, I can easily kill you. Wang Kai was speechless. Were all the girls in the mortal world so competitive? My senior brother said that once I mastered the swordsmanship and footwork he taught me, I would become the strongest person in Wushan town. I've already mastered it. Lin Yin yelled angrily. Swordsmanship and footwork. Hearing this, Wang Kai pursed his lips. Unsure, he said, "First of all, I don't know what your swordplay and footwork are. Thus, I can't judge whether or not you have reached the point of perfection. Secondly, in Wushan Township, there are 10 people who you will never be able to catch up to in your lifetime. Yeah, I'm not one of them." Chapter 1185. 10 people? I can't surpass them, even if I spend my entire life trying? You must be lying. Lin Yin frowned and sneered coldly. I know that you're capable, but everyone in Wushan town admits that they are no match for me. That's fake. I let you in on purpose. Why don't you understand? Wang Kai frowned and said rather casually, "If that's the case, why don't you find them and spar with me?" Lin Yin snorted coldly. Take that middle-aged man, who, for example, he is stronger than you. Among the 10 of them, he is ranked 10th. Wang Kai folded his hands behind his back and chuckled softly. Even though the middle-aged man with the surname who thought that he had hidden his strength well, Wang Kai was able to see through such trivial matters with a single glance. He had such strength, yet he hid it and was willing to be a scammer who harmed others to earn huge profits. She had to admit that the mortal world and the cultivation world were the same. There were fights and battles, but they were of different levels. Boss who? Humph, impossible. He is as weak as an ant. He can't even defeat my guards. How can he be my match? Stop bragging and showing off. Lin Yin snorted disdainfully. I'm so awesome, so dazzling, and so shiny. Do I need to brag? Wang Kai frowned and spread his hands as he gazed at her innocently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the early stage of the Mahayana realm. Host, Wang Kai occupation, immortal cultivator realm. Early stage of the Mahayana realm immortal techniques. None immortal techniques. None immortal weapons. None bragging points. 600 experience points. 02000 host. Wang Kai occupation, God realm. Second cultivation God techniques. None God techniques. None God weapons. Twin dragon rods the power of God. Full God's eye. Torch dragon's eye bragging points. 0 experience. 0 Is it still the god of second cultivation? Wang Kai glanced at it and closed it with his mind. It seemed that only those who had reached the peak of the Mahayana realm could break through to the divine stage of triple cultivation. Yes, the senior brother you mentioned is also much stronger than you. To be exact, there are a total of 9 people on that mountain who are stronger than you. You will never be able to surpass them in your entire life. Of course, your senior brother is one of them. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Dark Mountain? You know my senior brother? Lin Yin furrowed her eyebrows in surprise. It was true that Wang Kai was strong, and Lin Yin admitted that she wouldn't be his match. Besides, she had a feeling that he was 100 times stronger than her senior brother. However, Lin Yin wouldn't regard him as a god. Now that she had heard that there were many powerful warriors on Dark Mountain, her thoughts started to wander. It's true that there are 9 people on Dark Mountain who you will never be able to surpass in your entire life. However, there are also hundreds of thousands of people who are stronger than you. If you want to catch up with them, you will need at least 10 or 20 years. The premise is that they don't become stronger. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and continued to attack. Nonsense. Lin Yin finally couldn't take it anymore. She snarled coldly. Just you wait. I'll bring people to Dark Mountain to see if it is as strong as you say. Okay, I'll wait for you here. Wang Kai folded his hands behind his back and smiled casually. Oomph. Lin Yin snorted coldly and turned around to leave. Wang Kai didn't seem to care about this at all. Instead, he looked extremely playful. There were indeed many powerful warriors on Dark Mountain. They should be ordinary people from the pugilistic world. Besides, 9 of them had reached the half-step martial master realm. If they continued to cultivate, they might really be able to cultivate spirit energy. This was the immortal realm, so they should have entered the chi refinement realm. Why did you do this? Boss Tiger appeared in the courtyard with a frown on his face. He looked extremely displeased. After Wang Kai's actions, he was afraid that his future source of income would be completely cut off. I was just fooling around. Are you unhappy? Wang Kai didn't turn around to look at him. Naturally, he knew very well that Boss Tiger had been hiding in a corner and observing them. Little brother, you're cutting off my source of income. Do you know that? Boss Tiger said in a low voice. You're not weak. As long as you don't provoke the people on Dark Mountain, wouldn't it be easy for you to make a name for yourself in this small city? Besides, you would also be an overlord in other places. Wang Kai replied nonchalantly. I have a grudge against the people on Dark Mountain. I can't expose myself casually. I can only rely on Miss Lin in exchange for money to increase my strength. However, I'm afraid that this will be cut off by you. How do you want me to take revenge in the future? Boss Tiger said coldly. Then what do you want? Fight with me? Can you do it? Wang Kai curled his lips. As soon as he finished speaking, he appeared in front of Boss Tiger and looked down at him indifferently. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Seeing this, Boss Tiger's expression changed drastically. He quickly took a few steps back and looked at Wang Kai in shock. He asked in a low voice, Who are you? Even the leader of Dark Mountain, Wu Yunlian, can't be as fast as you. Dark Mountain, leader of Dark Mountain, Wu Yunlian, the strongest one? The one closest to the Qi cultivation realm? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this. He gently nodded and said with a smile, I am a person with a very powerful background. Well, to be exact, I belong to the outer space. I am a tyrant who is strong enough to make all the worlds and universes submit to me. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. If you really have that kind of power, why would you come to this godforsaken place? Are you looking for a sense of superiority? Boss Tiger snorted coldly, his expression full of disdain. Snap! Wang Kai snapped his fingers and nodded with a smile. That's right. More accurately, I am here to show off. What do you do about it? You don't like it? If you don't like it, then let's fight. Even the 7 universes have been conquered by Ben Shao. You are nothing. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the middle stage of the Mahayana realm. Boss Tiger held his breath. He did not expect Wang Kai to answer so directly. He did not even try to hide it. If you have that kind of power, you can go up to Dark Mountain and show off. If you can really kill them, I will definitely recognize you as my master. I will be eternally grateful to you. Boss Tiger sneered. Recognize me as your master? Wang Kai shrugged and said with a faint smile, I'm afraid you're thinking too much. You're lucky that I don't come after you for causing so many innocent people to die. You want to borrow my hand to destroy your enemy? Also, with your power, you are not worthy of my attention. Even if you train for another 1,000,000 or so years, you will still be pitifully weak. You are just an ant. Chapter 1186. Ant. How could he not care about someone who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years? Boss Tiger was infuriated when he heard this. He felt as though he was being repulsed by Lin Yan. There were only a limited number of opponents in this world. But now, it was said to be worthless by a young man. Then I'd like to see if your strength is as good as your speed. Huh! Boss Tiger roared, flipped his hand, and slapped at Wang Kai's head. Huh! 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 Wang Kai didn't even move. He just stood there, and with a shake of his body, he sent Boss Tiger flying. Boss Tiger clutched his chest as he slammed into the wall. He raised his head and stared at Wang Kai in horror. Only now did he realize that his strength wasn't limited to speed. Just like how he had dealt with Lin Yan, he didn't need to move at all. He could defeat his opponent with a single breath. Boss Tiger, you're back. Lin Yan led a dozen guards back to the training ground. She glanced at Boss Tiger, her eyes blazing with the desire to fight. Come here and fight me. Don't give in to me, or else. Lin Yan sneered coldly as she waved her slender hands. Buzz! More than 10 guards in the mansion obeyed the order and pulled out their long blades. Boss Tiger's eyes flashed with disdain. With his skills, he could easily take on a dozen of them, let alone a dozen. I'm sorry, Miss Lin. I don't want to fight you. You should go to Dark Mountain to find an opponent. Boss Tiger rejected her firmly and turned to leave. Miss Lin wants you to fight. Go. Boss Tiger, don't push your luck. You don't know what's good for you. Get lost. The guards glared at him coldly as they brandished their swords and blocked Boss Tiger's path. Do you have a death wish? Boss Tiger's gaze turned cold. He took out a black dagger from his bosom and placed it next to his mouth. He stuck out his tongue and licked it. Such a ferocious Boss Tiger immediately caused the dozen or so guards to be stunned. They looked at each other and burst out laughing. Boss Tiger, you're really starting to act tough? That's right. My young miss wants to fight with you because she thinks highly of you. Do you really think you have the ability to fight? Don't worry. We won't kill you or hurt you. Otherwise, how could Miss still be interested? All of you leave. Lin Yin switched to a sword and strode over slowly. She pointed at Boss Tiger and said softly, If you can escape from my sword, I won't cause you any more trouble. I don't like fighting, Boss Tiger said coldly. Once I do, someone has to die. Are you sure you want to fight me? You. Lin Yan's face froze when she heard him. Instinctively, her beautiful eyes darted to Wang Kai. However, he was expressionless. This infuriated her instantly. I don't believe that you are as powerful as he said. Make your move. Let's see how capable you are. Lin Yan bellowed. Wang. As soon as he finished speaking, he took the initiative to attack. He brandished his long sword and pierced it toward Boss Hu. Her steps were steady and graceful, and her swordsmanship was tricky. Judging from her moves, it was easy to imagine how miserable the deaths of those who had fought with her were. If you tell me, you will die. Clang. Crack. In an instant, Boss Tiger moved and used brute force to smash Lin Yan's sword. Then, the blade of the dagger was aimed at her throat. Lin Yan's body turned cold, and her eyes were filled with despair. Her mind was blank, and she had even forgotten to think or dodge. She had always attacked aggressively. Well, had she ever been counterattacked? Furthermore, it had been such a fatal counterattack. Only now did Lin Yan realize how insignificant she was. I won't kill you, but only this time. Don't ever mention me again. Otherwise, your entire family will die. Boss Tiger paused and put away his dagger. With a cold expression, he strode away. Thud! The moment the sense of danger vanished, Lin Yan fell to the ground. Her face was pale, and sweat was beading on her forehead. Her slender body began to tremble slightly. She had taken a step out of the gates of hell, and now she was back in the world. This feeling was soul-stirring, and it made her feel as though she had survived a disaster. Scram if you don't want to die. Boss Tiger hollered at the guards, who were horrified and hurriedly stepped aside. They knew that they were no match for Miss Lin. They weren't deliberately going easy on her, but they were indeed no match for her. However, Boss Tiger had almost killed Miss Lin with a single move. Who would dare to provoke him? Go and catch some beauties for me. Super beauties who aren't inferior to Lin Yan. Otherwise, no matter where you go, you will lose your life. Wang Kai's voice reverberated in Boss Hu's mind, causing him to tremble violently. His eyes were filled with terror. No one else could hear that voice except for him. He swore that he had never seen such a technique before. An expert. An absolute expert. No, he must be beyond the realm of an expert. Boss Tiger swallowed his saliva and strode away without looking back. Are you still going to Dark Mountain? Wang Kai folded his hands behind his back as he walked over to Lin Yan. He squatted down and studied her playfully. You, him, and the people on Dark Mountain, are they really stronger than Boss Tiger? Lin Yan pressed her lips, her voice stiff. Not really. Only 9 people are stronger than Boss Tiger. The rest aren't his match. However, they're all slightly stronger than you. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Then, what about you? How strong are you? Are you stronger than them? Lin Yan raised her head and blinked her beautiful eyes as she gazed at Wang Kai with anticipation. Of course. How can the people on Dark Mountain be compared to me? With just one thought, I can turn all of Dark Mountain into ashes. With just one look, all 7 cosmoses will disappear. With such power, do you think anyone can be my opponent? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled arrogantly. You're right. You're right. Do you think anyone can be my opponent? Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Lin Yin pursed her lips and chuckled. This person was really good at bragging. However, even though she knew that he was bragging, he was definitely as strong as Boss Tiger. This also proved that he could compete with the 9 most powerful people on Dark Mountain. Will you accept me as your disciple? Lin Yin blinked her beautiful eyes and asked seriously. Chapter 1187. If you want me to accept you as my disciple, the price will be huge. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and pretended to grin casually. Even a fool would be able to understand such an obvious hint. Lin Yin was rather surprised by this. She asked curiously, do you lack women when you're so powerful? Huh? Wang Kai grinned and rubbed his nose. No matter how many women I have, it won't be enough. Men are such creatures. Otherwise, what else can I do? Besides, Bin Xiao has never had a woman before. You're the first. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the late stage of the Mahayana realm. I'm the first. Lin Yan's eyes widened as she listened to him. She looked even more suspicious. Most of the masters of the dojos had multiple wives and concubines. Even a number of lovers he had secretly found was uncountable, right? Wang Kai, who could defeat his enemies with a puff of his breath, had never had a woman before? You're lying to me, right? Lin Yin pursed her red lips, looking slightly disdainful. Who wouldn't be able to tell such a hypocritical lie? If it was a prostitute, she would naturally laugh it off and go along with it, flattering him to please him. However, why would Lin Yin do that? I never lie. If I say one thing, it's one. If I say 2, it's 2. There's no 3 at all. You need to believe in me, and you need to have a heart that believes in love. A good man like me is really rare, really rare. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Host, Wang Kai occupation, Immortal Cultivator Realm. Late Mahayana Realm Immortal Technique. None Immortal Technique. None Immortal Weapon. None bragging points. For 100 experience points. 10002000. She was just short of bragging before she could truly reach the divine realm. Wang Kai casually glanced at it. Then he activated his mind and closed it. As long as you accept me as your disciple, I will spend the night with you. Lin Yin gritted her teeth. He looked as if he was ready to throw caution to the wind. This situation caused Wang Kai to be extremely surprised. He really did not expect that this little girl would actually pay such a huge price in order to become an expert. Moreover, he nodded his head without hesitation. She clearly knew that she was bragging and making things up, but in the end, she still didn't care and agreed. His goal was very clear. As long as he wanted to become stronger, he would do anything. I brought him to you. Can I leave now? At the same time, Boss Tiger carried 2 sacks and jumped over the wall. He placed the 2 sacks that were obviously filled with people on the ground. This was the first time Boss Tiger had done something like this. If he hadn't been forced into a corner, he wouldn't have done it no matter what. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and scanned the area with his divine sense. He was surprised to see 2 women with their mouths sealed and wearing phoenix robes. Their looks, in particular, were of the highest quality in the world. They didn't pale in comparison to Lin Yin at all. In fact, their auras even surpassed hers. It was really hard to imagine where Boss Tiger had managed to kidnap these 2 beautiful women. Furthermore, he had only taken such a short time. It hadn't even been an hour, and he had already brought her back? Who are they? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. With a single step, he appeared in front of Boss Tiger. I wanted to rush to the capital city as soon as possible to find a few beauties for you. Coincidentally, I met the Empress and the Imperial concubine who were on their way to Dark Mountain to invite experts. Hence, I brought them here. Are you satisfied? Don't worry. I didn't do anything disrespectful to them. They're still fresh. Can you let me off now? Boss Tiger explained wisely in a low voice. As a veteran, he could naturally tell that Wang Kai was trying to woo Lin Yan. Hence, Boss Tiger didn't say it out loud. Instead, he explained in a low voice. Wang Kai was quite satisfied with this. He looked at him with appreciation and nodded. Well, bring them to the biggest inn in the city. Give me the address later. You stay outside and don't let anything happen to them. Do you understand? Don't even think about escaping. I'll be watching your every move. Whoosh. Hearing this, Boss Hu's face turned extremely ugly. He thought to himself that this time, he had really taken a tumble. He really couldn't figure it out. When did such a powerful and mysterious young man appear in this world? If he had known that this young man would be so difficult to deal with, he wouldn't have taken the initiative to look for him in the city. Now, he had gotten himself into so much trouble that he couldn't extricate himself from it. Okay, the biggest inn in the city is called Wanjin Lai. You can go there later. I'll wait for you there. Boss Hu's face darkened. After he finished speaking, he picked up the 2 sacks and climbed over the wall. Who did he kidnap? Your enemy? Lin Yan furrowed her eyebrows as she asked softly. She wasn't as capable as Wang Kai, so she couldn't tell if the person in the sack was a man or a woman. Hence, she was extremely puzzled. How could someone as powerful as Wang Kai have an enemy? Furthermore, the person he had dealt with was Boss Tiger, who had been defeated by Wang Kai. Yeah, they're just 2 fools who once spoke arrogantly to me. How could an expert like me, who controls thousands of worlds and the 7 universes, casually lay a hand on an ordinary person? That's why I asked Boss Tiger to deal with him on my behalf. Wang Kai waved his hands dismissively as he spoke calmly. He looked as though he was telling the truth. There wasn't a hint of pretense in his voice. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the Mahayana realm. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the Mahayana realm. Host, Wang Kai occupation, Immortal Cultivator realm, Mahayana realm immortal technique, none immortal technique, none immortal weapon, none bragging points, for 200 experience points. 02000 host, Wang Kai occupation, God realm, Mahayana realm, God divine technique, none divine weapon, double dragon rod the power of God, full God's eye, torch dragon's eye bragging points, 0 experience, 00 Mahayana realm, God realm. If she used the power of God, she would possess the combat power of the Mahayana realm, God realm. The immortal emperors of the immortal world wouldn't be her match. She would be able to defeat them easily. However, if she were to face Azura, she would still be lacking. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes as he mulled over this. At the same time, he used his intent to deactivate it. Whether you accept me as your disciple or not, I will serve you. Lin Yan bit her lips as she spoke. As for the fact that there was a person in the sack, he automatically ignored it. She didn't think that Wang Kai had asked Boss Tiger to kidnap a beauty. Chapter 1188. Of course I agree. You're my 6th disciple. Train with me in the future. I'll let you experience the feeling of flying in the sky and burrowing under the ground. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and chuckled playfully. He stretched his arms and hugged Lin Yan's slender body naturally. His hands started to wander around her body naughtily. Lin Yan blushed when he touched her. She was extremely bashful. But right now, her heart was filled with joy. As long as she could become strong, she didn't care about the price. Men had martial arts fanatics, and so did women. They were even more persistent and ruthless. Regarding this, Wang Kai naturally didn't reject anyone. Both sides would take what they needed. Whatever they wanted, he could give it to them. Whatever he wanted, they had to give it to him. Miss, old master wants you to go over. Young Master Wu is here. Just as Wang Kai was about to devour the little girl, one of the guards of the mansion hurried over. Senior Brother Wu is here? Lin Yan was startled when she heard him. She hurriedly pushed Wang Kai away and frowned. He is the senior brother I was talking about. He is from Dark Mountain. Yes, I know. When he entered the house, I already knew. His strength is not bad. Wang Kai shrugged and said rather casually. Lin Yin naturally didn't know that Wang Kai meant that he was only capable in this world. In the cultivation world, he would be as weak as an ant. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was weak. Coach, do you want to meet him? I really want to know the difference between you and him. Lin Yan's beautiful eyes sparkled as she pursed her red lips. Since Wang Kai had said that he was quite capable, it meant that he had acknowledged him. If that was the case, wouldn't it prove that Senior Brother Wu was very powerful? In the end, if Wang Kai wasn't as valiant as Senior Brother Wu, wouldn't she be at a disadvantage if she gave her body to him? At this, Wang Kai's lips curled up. Naturally, he knew what she was thinking. Sure, but let him come and see me. You need to know that there's really no one in the 7 universes who is qualified for me to take the initiative to meet them. It's impossible for anyone. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with a rather casual expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Miss, may I know who this is? If Mr. Wu heard such arrogant words, he would lose his life. Oomph. The guard snorted disdainfully. In his opinion, Mr. Wu was the strongest existence. He had always regarded Mr. Wu as his idol. How could he allow others to insult his idol in front of him? This is my teacher. His name is Wang Kai. You'd better be polite to him. Otherwise, you'll die. Lin Yin pursed her lips and chided him coldly. Master? The guard was obviously stunned when he heard this. Miss, have you been deceived by this fellow? He looks like a bear, wears coarse hemp clothes, and is a good-for-nothing beggar with no family background. How can he teach you martial arts? Miss, you have to think twice before you act. Mr. Wu is in the residence. Why don't you ask him to teach you? The guard raised his hand and pointed at Wang Kai, scolding him with disdain. Wang Kai remained expressionless and couldn't be bothered with him. A weak mortal who couldn't be any weaker if he paid attention to him every single time. Wouldn't it be too degrading for him? Besides, he couldn't deal with him all the time. You could go to hell now. Lin Yan's face was as cold as ice. She didn't know if Wang Kai was more powerful than Senior Brother Wu, but he was definitely capable. Hence, she wouldn't dare to provoke Senior Brother Wu before she had a chance to compete with him. Miss you. I did it for you, Clang. Lin Yan brandished her sword and strode over. Without any explanation, she stabbed the sword at the guard's heart. However, before she could stab him, she was deflected by a folding fan. Furthermore, after blocking the attack, the folding fan once again spiraled back to the entrance of the courtyard. She could clearly see a few figures standing at the entrance. A middle-aged man and a young man in a blue robe. That folding fan belonged to the young man in the blue robe. Now that the folding fan had returned to his hand, the young man in the blue robe swayed gently in front of his chest. His handsome face was smiling faintly. Yin Yin, why do you have to kill your own family member because of a sorcerer? Mr. Wu chuckled softly. Nephew Wu is right. Yin Yin, why aren't you coming over to greet Nephew Wu? As for that sorcerer, get out of the Lin residence now. On account of Nephew Wu, I don't want to see blood today. The middle-aged man was called Lin Xian. He was the Lin residence's master and Lin Yan's father. Wang Kai listened to this with a playful expression. He shook his head and smiled faintly. Do you think you're very impressive? Whoosh. Everyone held their breaths when they heard this. Lin Yin and Mansion Master Lin froze on the spot. Even Mr. Wu was stunned for a moment. He had never imagined that a sorcerer would be so daring. Was he really not afraid of death? Father, he is my master. Don't interfere. Just as Master Lin was about to fly into a rage, Lin Yin hurriedly stopped him. Just as she had thought before she found out who was stronger and who was weaker, she wouldn't provoke either party. Naturally, Palace Chief Lin was no fool. Just by hearing his daughter's words, he immediately understood what she meant. He glanced at Wang Kai in bewilderment and asked in a low voice, Nephew Wu, is he very strong? He should be all right. However, he's still not presentable. Young Master Wu smiled faintly. He waved his folding fan and closed it. He looked at Wang Kai and nodded with a smile. He praised, You are very good. Even after seeing me, you can still remain calm and composed. This proves that you have some strength and confidence. Oh, what are you trying to say? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked playfully. He secretly thought that this Mr. Wu from Mount Wu was quite interesting. He was really good at posturing. It's very simple. Kneel on the ground and kowtow to apologize. I can spare your life. After all, a sorcerer in the pugilistic world cheats for food and drinks. It's also for the sake of living. Mr. Wu smiled faintly. Whoosh! Lin Yin and Master Lin didn't speak. Instead, they turned to Wang Kai in unison. What they wanted to do now was to let Wang Kai and Mr. Wu compete. This way, they would be able to see who was stronger and who was weaker. Haha, if you kneel on the ground right now, shout out to me 3 times and shout loudly that I was wrong, I can consider sparing your life. In fact, I can spare the lives of all the people on Dark Mountain. Well, you'd better think carefully before you answer me. There aren't many opportunities for a person. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes with a playful expression. Chapter 1189. I've seen too many fake people like you in the Jianghu. Fine, make your move. Young Master Wu smiled faintly and waved his fan. He pointed at Wang Kai and gestured. Okay, then I'll make my move. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully. He suddenly raised his hand and slapped him across the air. Slap! Bang! In an instant, under the slap, young Master Wu was directly slapped to the ground before he could even react, causing the ground to tremble for a moment. Seeing such a situation, the few people who were watching were instantly horrified. They did not expect that young Master Wu could not even withstand one move from Wang Kai. Moreover, what kind of move was that? There was no direct contact, and the distance between the two of them was more than 10 steps. How could he end the battle with just a wave of his hand? You've already cultivated qi. Cough, cough. Young Master Wu climbed up from the ground with a pale face. He looked at Wang Kai in shock. The arrogance from before had completely disappeared at this moment, and it was replaced by anger and panic. Qi? What is qi? Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and looked at him playfully. You don't have to pretend. On my Dark Mountain, there are 5 experts who have cultivated qi. If you don't want to die, then slap. Slap. Before Mr. Wu could finish speaking, Wang Kai flipped his hand and slapped him a few times, causing his body to fly and sway. In the end, even his mouth was slapped to the point that the skin and flesh split open. That's not qi. It's the spiritual qi of the world. The things you train in are of the lowest grade in the world of cultivation. Of course, the power of your Dark Mountain's Mountain Lord can only be ranked first in the world of cultivation. Last place. Without waiting for young Master Wu to laugh coldly, Wang Kai's words caused his face to darken and turn purple. Last place. The strongest expert in the world, the Dark Mountain Master, was last place? How is this possible? Not only did young Master Wu not believe such words, even the few people present did not believe them. It was because they had seen too little of the world and their vision was too limited. With regards to this, Wang Kai naturally couldn't be bothered to explain it to them. He said indifferently, Today, on account of your ignorance, I won't bicker with you. Farewell. With that, Wang Kai turned around to leave. No matter how unwilling and furious Mr. Wu was, he did not dare to stop them. However, Mansion Master Lin and Lin Yin hurriedly stopped him with a smile. Coach, you can't leave. You haven't taught me martial arts. I haven't done that with you, Lin Yin whispered shyly. That's right. Little brother, why don't you stay here for the time being? This manor will definitely treat you well. Manor Head Lin said with a smile. His previous arrogance and murderous attitude had disappeared without a trace. Right now, Manor Head Lin was just short of kneeling on the ground and begging. No, our fortuitous encounter has been broken. Wang Kai glanced at her indifferently and said indifferently, Bin Xiao has never lacked women, let alone beautiful women. In the cultivation world, fairies and goddesses are at my fingertips. However, you think that you are a little beautiful and want me to compete with this fool. Aren't you a little too presumptuous? Oomph. It's already fortunate that I didn't kill you and your entire family. You still want to cultivate martial arts? You can brag about yourself here for the rest of your life. Crack. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai stretched out his hand in front of everyone and tore open the void. Immediately, he disappeared completely. Such a scene instantly frightened them so much that their faces turned pale. Even young Master Wu was so frightened that his entire body trembled nonstop. The ability to tear open the void. How strong was this? Not to mention that he couldn't do it. Even a mountain master of Dark Mountain couldn't do it either. This, Mannerhead Lin was also dumbfounded on the spot, and his heart was filled with regret. At this moment, the person who regretted it the most was Lin Yan. Originally, she didn't want to offend anyone and used a gentle method to determine who was more powerful between young Master Wu and Wang Kai. However, in the end, she had still offended Wang Kai. If she could cultivate with such a powerful expert. At this thought, Lin Yan's pretty face turned pale. Her delicate body swayed, and she fainted on the spot. He, who had wanted to become an expert, had lost the opportunity directly. Furthermore, it had been ruined by his own hands. One could imagine how he felt. He can actually tear open the void. The servant's body trembled, and he couldn't regain his senses for a long time. He was extremely glad that he wasn't dead after what he had said about Wang Kai previously. Perhaps in his eyes, I don't even have the right to make him attack. The servant shook his head and laughed self-deprecatingly. In the future, Dark Mountain and the Lin family will have nothing to do with each other. Young Master Wu snorted coldly and turned around to leave. They had tried to curry favor with Wang Kai in front of him and tested him so brazenly. Naturally, Wu Gong wasn't a fool. Why would he bother with him? How can this be good? Could this be retribution? Mannerhead Lin was in a daze. It was fine that he had lost a super expert, but in the end, even his relationship with Dark Mountain was going to be ruined. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have allowed Lin Yin to test him. Now, without this relationship with Dark Mountain, it was simply a fool's dream for the Lin family to be as lawless as before. He wondered what Lin Yan's expression would be when she woke up and found out about this. At the same time, Wang Kai, who had arrived at the largest inn in the city, met Boss Tiger, who was guarding the door. You even dared to snatch the Empress and the Imperial concubine. Looks like you're really bold, Wang Kai said casually. I know that you're very powerful, and I'm not your match. However, you should know that the law doesn't exist for powerful people. Hence, there's no such thing as daring or not daring. If it was for my own life, I would even assassinate the Emperor, let alone snatching the Empress and the Imperial concubine. Big Boss Tiger answered seriously. The corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He hadn't expected that his casual words would receive such a serious reply. How afraid was he of him? Then go to the palace now and snatch the princess. Wang Kai pursed his lips and was speechless. Okay, I'll go now. Whoosh. Without any hesitation, Bossu took a step forward and disappeared from the roof in a few leaps. To him, the palace was no different from his own backyard. He could come and go as he pleased. If the emperor didn't have any enmity with him, it would be easy for Boss Tiger to kill him. Chapter 1190. Do you have to be so fierce? Wang Kai's face darkened. He was speechless. You don't have to go. I was just saying. You're free now. As for your grudge, tell me in detail later. If you're really wronged, I can help you. Swoosh. Boss Tiger, who had just run out of the town, trembled when he heard that. His eyes were filled with excitement, as if he had been injected with chicken blood. To be able to get Wang Kai's help was a pleasant surprise for Boss Tiger. At first, Boss Tiger did not dare to think that way. Thinking of this, Boss Tiger hurriedly retraced his steps and quietly stood guard outside the inn, waiting for Wang Kai to appear. He knew very well what Wang Kai wanted to do, so naturally, he would not disturb him. In the heaven room, Wang Kai looked at the two sacks on the bed and rubbed his chin with a playful smile. Buzz. With a wave of his hand, he opened the sack. Looking at the two beautiful and seductive faces inside, he smiled faintly and said, Empress and Imperial concubine, are you well? Bastard, Are you the one who kidnapped us? Do you know what crime this is? Your entire family will be executed." The queen was in her 30s, but her skin and appearance were not any less beautiful than before. She was mature and charming. At the side, the imperial concubine was slightly younger, but she was already a beauty in her 30s. She bit her red lips and said coldly, "My sister and I are not only the current empress and imperial concubine, we are also the younger sisters of the Dark Mountain Master, his biological sister." "Oh, is that so?" And then Wang Kai frowned and asked playfully, "You're not afraid?" The empress and the imperial concubine were both stunned. Some people were afraid of the royal family, and some were afraid of the martial arts masters. This was an unchanging principle. From the moment Wang Kai opened his mouth to say the words empress and imperial concubine, they knew very well that the royal family could no longer suppress him. Otherwise, he would not have kidnapped them. If that was the case, they wanted to use the name of Dark Mountain to intimidate Wang Kai. But in the end, he was still not afraid. Unmoved by force or persuasion. A pain in the ass? Damn it, this is going to be troublesome. The empress and the imperial concubine felt a chill in their hearts, but they were not afraid of anything. "You want us sisters, right?" The empress pursed her red lips and asked with a charming smile. "Sure, let us go, and we sisters will serve you well." "How about that?" The imperial concubine chimed in as well. Furthermore, the two sisters even extended their fragrant tongues to lick their red lips. That seductive look really made Wang Kai frown. She had thought that as the empress and the imperial concubine, she must be very precious. After a long time, it turned out that there were two lords who were riding 1,000 men and were above 10,000 men. No matter how good-looking she was, Wang Kai wouldn't bother with her. However, he could use it to relieve his boredom. Thinking of this, Wang Kai smiled playfully and said faintly, "So what if I let you go?" "Patter." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai stepped forward and untied the ropes on their bodies. Then he sat by the bed and looked at them playfully. Coarse linen clothes and straw sandals. He looks ordinary. He seems to be about 17 or 18 years old. I don't think he's a martial artist. But why isn't he afraid of us? The empress and the imperial concubine were very suspicious. For a moment, they were bewildered. They didn't know whether to take out the dagger hidden in their sleeves to attack, or not to take it out to attack. They were very conflicted. Wang Kai's performance was too calm. Not only did he untie the rope, but he also sat in front of him in such a relaxed manner. With his back facing them, wasn't he afraid of death? In that sentence, "So what if I let you go?" Obviously, he was skilled and daring, or he was stupid, pretending to be powerful. "How are you going to serve Ben Shao?" "As soon as possible." Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and urged with an impatient expression. Swish! As soon as he said that, the empress and the imperial concubine looked at each other, pursed their red lips, put away the dagger, and took off each other's clothes. When they took off all their clothes, they helped Wang Kai unbutton his clothes. Wang Kai was quite surprised by this. He thought that they would suddenly attack and assassinate him. Who would have thought that they would obey him in the end? Was it because they didn't dare to take the risk? They were afraid that they would lose their lives if they failed because they were very strong. But if they took the initiative to give themselves to him, at least they would have a chance to live. Wang Kai's idea was exactly what the empress and the imperial concubine were thinking. They really didn't dare to gamble with their lives. They really didn't want to lose their noble status as the empress and the imperial concubine. Both of you have maintained your figures pretty well. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and glanced at them playfully. Every part of their body was in great shape. There was nothing wrong with them. They even had a mature temperament, which made them more charming. "Can you lie down? We will serve you," the empress said in a low voice, pursing her red lips. "We have only had sex with the emperor, but we are very skilled. We will definitely make you happy, but we hope that you can let us go after this," the imperial concubine said, gritting her teeth. Okay, that's not a problem, but..." Wang Kai looked away, stood up, and said flatly, "Bin Shao doesn't like to consummate with you, so use your mouth." The empress and the imperial concubine were stunned. They had never experienced such a way of serving. They had never thought that as the sister of the master of Wushan Mountain and the imperial concubine, they would never do such a thing for a man. Even the emperor didn't have such treatment. Hurry up, Bin Xiao is done. He still has things to do. Wang Kai said impatiently. Okay. We hope you can let us go. The empress and the imperial concubine looked at each other, then parted their red lips and leaned over. Although the technique was a little rough, Wang Kai was still very happy. Looks like I have some fate with Wushan. I just promised Boss Hu that I would help him settle things, and now I'm doing this with the two sisters of the master of Wushan Mountain. And that Mr. Wu, I beat him up. His softer suck it. I'm right. That's it. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. As he thought about it, he felt very comfortable. The people from Wushan are in the city. Before Wang Kai was done, Boss Hu's low voice came from outside the room. Haha, Boss Hu, you're very smart. You made the two sisters of the master of Wushan Mountain serve me. Are you trying to force me to help you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and enjoyed it, ignoring him. Now that he thought about it, Boss Hu might not have captured the empress and the imperial concubine as he said. It was just a coincidence. Chapter 1191. Comfortable. Wang Kai squinted his eyes. After getting dressed, he looked at the empress and the imperial concubine with appreciation and said with a playful smile, You did a good job. Keep up the good work in the future. Keep up the good work? What do you mean? Aren't you going to let us go? Why are you so despicable? The empress and the imperial concubine were so angry that they didn't even wipe off the white liquid on the corner of their lips. They were so angry with Wang Kai that they almost couldn't breathe. Who said I'm not going to let you go? Wang Kai shrugged and stretched himself comfortably. He said casually, Put on your clothes quickly and do whatever you need to do. If there's a chance in the future, I'll catch you again and have some fun with you. Humph. The empress and the imperial concubine snorted disdainfully. They didn't think that Wang Kai would have a chance to catch them again. They quickly put on their clothes and glanced at Wang Kai coldly. Then they turned and left. It's big, but it doesn't dare to touch us. What's the use of it? Wang Kai could vaguely hear the words that came out of the empress' mouth. Immediately, black lines appeared on his forehead. If it weren't for his strong self-control, he would definitely drag them back and have sex with them for 3 days and 3 nights. However, the words "it's big" made Wang Kai very happy. He had to admit that it was indeed big. Ha ha ha. Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and smiled proudly. He turned and walked out of the room. He looked at Boss Hu and said, Who's here from Wushan? Do you have to be in such a hurry? They're just a bunch of trash. Boss Hu grinned and then said seriously, The people from Wushan might be sent by Mr. Wu. Secondly, they're here to track down the empress and the imperial concubine. Oh. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him with a playful expression. He asked with a smile, So, you want to catch the empress and the imperial concubine for me? You want to make me an enemy of Wushan? Take the opportunity to avenge you, right? Hearing this, Boss Hu's expression changed slightly. He nodded solemnly and said, That is correct. I hope Senior can be merciful. I really have no other way out. If I don't take revenge for my family, I'm not a man. Family feud. What family feud? Your entire family was killed by the people of Dark Mountain? Wang Kai frowned and asked in confusion. That's right. There were 131 people in the entire family, and not a single one was left alive. If it wasn't for the fact that I went out to train, I would have also died at Dark Mountain's hands. Boss Tiger said coldly through gritted teeth. Why are you doing this? Your family has a treasure? Wang Kai asked in surprise. Exactly. Boss Tiger nodded heavily and didn't say anything else. In this regard, Wang Kai was naturally too lazy to ask. No matter what kind of treasure it was no different from trash to him. After all, this was only a place of mortals. What good things could there be? Do you know the consequences of lying to me? Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai used his will to pry into Boss Tiger's state of mind. However, what he got was Boss Tiger's intense hatred. He gritted his teeth and said, If I'm lying, may lightning strike me and I'll die a horrible death. All right, I can help you. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Now that he had reached the divine realm of triple cultivation, there was no point in staying in the immortal realm any longer. He would do a good deed and then leave this place to return to the world of divine cultivation, or to Earth, or even directly to Universe 3. As for Earth, Wang Kai wanted to go back, but he didn't want to go back now. After all, he came from there. If he rashly went back and couldn't come back, what would he do? Kill him. Yes, that's him. At the same time, the Empress and Imperial Concubine led a group of experts from Dark Mountain into the inn. They pointed at Wang Kai on the second floor and shouted harshly, "Umph, how dare you provoke the Empress and Imperial Concubine? You really don't know what's good for you. Everyone here, kill them all. Leave no one alive." Bang, bang, bang. Immediately after, under the command of one of the leaders, dozens of Jianghu experts moved together. As long as they saw anyone, regardless of whether they were related or not, they would be killed. How could the news of the Empress and Imperial Concubine being in the same room as a man be leaked? The news of them being kidnapped could not be leaked. Even if Dark Mountain didn't do this, the Imperial family would. "Stop it, all of you." Wang Kai's figure moved, and with a wave of his hand, he immediately suppressed the crowd, immobilizing them all. The Empress and Imperial Concubines' faces turned as pale as paper. They didn't expect this young man to be so powerful. It had to be known that while the Dark Mountain elites who came were not the strongest, they were still elites who could be ranked in the top dozens. But he suppressed them with a wave of his hand? How strong was Wang Kai? Even the Dark Mountain's mountain master didn't have this ability, right? It was easy for the Dark Mountain's mountain master to kill everyone here, but it was impossible for him to suppress them with a wave of his hand. Or rather, they hadn't even seen him do it before. "Are there any of your enemies among these people?" Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked curiously. "No, I only have one enemy, and that is the mountain master of Dark Mountain. The others may have interfered, but in the end, they all listened to him." Bosu said in a low voice. "Haha, you're quite open-minded." Wang Kai looked at him with admiration. At least this guy knew that there was a perpetrator for every grievance and a debtor for every debt. If he wanted Wang Kai to help him kill everyone in Dark Mountain, it would be impossible. Although these people's lives were no different from ants to Wang Kai, he wouldn't kill the innocent. "Did you hear that? You survived, so now you can get lost." Wang Kai shrugged and waved his hand calmly. Buzz. When everyone was released from their bindings, they fled without any fighting spirit. Even the Empress and Imperial Concubine didn't dare to care about them. What a joke. Even if the Mountain Master of Dark Mountain came, he would still die. Even if he had 100 lives, it wouldn't be enough. If that was the case, who would still work for Dark Mountain? Wait, don't go. Ben Xiao is going to Dark Mountain as well. Since it's on the way, let's go together. We can even have fun on the way. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully. Whoosh! Hearing this, the Empress and Imperial Concubine were stunned. His footsteps, which had just taken, froze for a moment. There were countless voices of regret in their hearts. They could have been safe, but they still came back to cause trouble for Wang Kai. If this wasn't a trap of their own making, then what was? Chapter 1192. On the road leading to Dark Mountain, a decent horse carriage was moving slowly. Boss Tiger was driving the carriage in front. In the carriage were Wang Kai, the Empress, and the Imperial Concubine, who had taken off all their clothes. Wang Kai was lying on the wooden bed, allowing the Empress and the Imperial Concubine to serve him carefully. Why is your energy so vigorous? Are you really that good in that aspect? The Empress and the Imperial Concubine blinked their beautiful eyes and looked at Wang Kai in surprise. How long had it been? Did he want to do it again? And he did not want to touch her directly. He liked to use his mouth. Could it be that in his eyes, she was so unworthy of being touched? The Empress and the Imperial Concubine were a little angry when they thought of this. The Empress could not help but get up and sit on Wang Kai. Wang Kai was stunned. He did not expect the Empress to be so direct. However, the Empress seemed to be infatuated. The Imperial Concubine was stunned when she saw this. She pursed her red lips and whispered, "Hurry up. I want to go up and have some fun." Have some fun? Black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead when he heard this. He did not care about anything else and got up to start the journey. Even Boss Tiger, who was driving the horse carriage, felt the violent vibration. Amazing. That's amazing. Oh my God. The corner of Boss Tiger's mouth twitched violently. He was secretly impressed. Dark Mountain. It was the most powerful place in the mortal world. In front of the world, it had the sister of the Mountain Master. Both of them had become emperors. One was the empress, and the other was the imperial concubine. However, only a few powerful people knew that Dark Mountain was full of Jianghu experts. They were the best of the best. However, this was still not enough for him to dominate the mortal world. No matter how strong they were, there was a limit to the number of people. However, the imperial family had millions of soldiers. No matter how strong you were, you could not fight against so many. This was the main reason why the Mountain Master of Dark Mountain married his sister to the emperor. Just like what Boss Tiger said, if he wanted to, he could enter the palace and kill the emperor. However, what was the use of killing the emperor? He would not be able to become the emperor. While Wang Kai was enjoying himself, he asked the empress and the imperial concubine about some secrets. The empress and imperial concubine, who were in a daze, did not have the ability to think. They answered whatever Lin Fan asked. In the end, she even told them about how the Dark Mountain Master wanted to use their children to dominate the world. Regarding this, Wang Kai was extremely speechless. So, he decided not to ask any more questions. After occupying her body, he actually asked her about her secrets. This was indeed a bit too much. Who are you? Why are you here? The Mountain Master of Dark Mountain was just like any other sect in the world of cultivation. There were a few powerful fighters guarding it. Seeing the arrival of the carriage, he hurriedly took a few steps forward and pulled out the saber at his waist. His expression was solemn, and his eyes were cold as he asked loudly, "Who Chinchio?" Boss Tiger flipped over and landed on the ground. With a few slaps, he knocked those experts to the ground. "Who Chinchio? The surviving member of the Hu clan? Damn it! How dare you come to Dark Mountain to cause trouble? Do you want to die? You fugitive. Originally, Dark Mountain didn't want to cause trouble for you, but you just had to send yourself to us. If that's the case, then stay here forever." Whoosh! Crack! One of the masters took out a bamboo tube from his arms and shot it at the sky. Suddenly, a series of fireworks were shot out. Furthermore, the fireword drew the two words Dark Mountain in the sky. Distress signal? The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. He thought to himself that this was indeed a mortal place. Even the distress signal was so old-fashioned. "Aren't you guys going down, huh?" Wang Kai had planned to ask the empress and imperial concubine to come down together. But in the end, they fell unconscious in the carriage. Even a woman who had cultivated could not withstand Wang Kai's attacks, not to mention two ordinary people. It would be better to say that it was their fortune to be able to survive. Luckily, Bin Xiao did not use too much strength, or else. Wang Kai touched his nose and was speechless. Boss Tiger's face twitched when he heard this. He was thoroughly shocked by the strength of Wang Kai's body. In the carriage, the empress and imperial concubine's voices could not be heard. There was only the faint sound of them sleeping. It was obvious that they had been tortured by Wang Kai to the point that they did not have the strength to get up. He's really too powerful. Boss Tiger praised in his heart. One man and two women, and two female experts at that. In the end, he was still able to stay calm, while the female experts were all exhausted. Who's looking for trouble in Dark Mountain? Soon, an old man brought two middle-aged men down the mountain. The old man's name was Zhen Feng, and he was the 9th strongest in Dark Mountain. He was a head taller than Mr. Wu. The people behind him were his disciples, and they were ranked in the top 10. Wang Kai casually glanced at them and said calmly, "Boss Tiger, you can handle them, right?" Of course I can. They're just two pieces of trash." Boss Tiger sneered in disdain. He took out a dagger and walked towards them with a sinister smile. "Hu Chinchio, it's you?" Zhen Feng recognized Boss Tiger with a single glance. They had fought before when they were chasing after him. If it wasn't for others helping you, you would have died under my dagger." Now, do you still have the guts to fight with me? Boss Tiger licked his dagger and laughed in disdain. Oomph. Arrogant to the extreme, Zhen Feng snorted in disdain. He waved his hand and shouted, "Disciple, bring me the dagger." "Yes, master." The two middle-aged men behind him hurriedly took out their sabers and handed them to Zhen Feng respectfully. "Hee, you're not using a long dagger, but a short one?" Boss Tiger sneered in disdain. He suddenly moved, waved his dagger, and stabbed towards Zhen Feng. Dang, 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 dang. Shing, shing, shing. Zhen Feng didn't reject any of Boss Tiger's attacks. With a sweep of his short sword, he easily and accurately blocked Boss Tiger's attacks. Moreover, he forcefully raised his sword and pushed Boss Tiger back a few steps. "You've improved again?" Boss Tiger raised his head and looked at him in surprise. "Humph, of course. Now it's easy to kill you." Zhen Feng snorted in disdain. He waved his dagger and attacked. Chapter 1193. We still don't know who will live and who will die. Don't be too arrogant. Boss Tiger retorted coldly. His feet moved continuously, and his figure flashed back and forth like an illusion. The dagger in his hand stabbed out continuously. A series of clanging sounds rang out incessantly, and sparks flew in all directions. This is the limit of the Jianghu experts, right? In the distance, Wang Kai stood with his hands behind his back, watching with a surprised expression. In such a mundane place, even Fan Province's strength was inferior. The difference was too great. When one reached the level of martial master or general, one could condense spirit chi and defend and attack at the same time. There was no need for close combat during the entire battle. However, the Jianghu experts competed with their strength and moves. Based on the way they were fighting, both sides would be exhausted after a few hours. At such a level, it was difficult to determine the victor. "You guys are fighting too slowly. Can you end it quickly?" Ben Shao really doesn't have that much time to waste here with you. Wang Kai frowned and called out impatiently. If he had known this would happen, he would not have let them fight in the beginning. This was like watching an acrobatic performance. The moves were exciting, but they were very slow. "Oomph. Is he your disciple? How dare you talk so bluntly? Disciple, go and kill that kid." Clang! Zhen Feng coldly snorted in displeasure. After a head-on clash, he hurriedly withdrew his blade and retreated. "Yes, master." The two middle-aged men looked at each other and walked towards Wang Kai unarmed. In their opinion, Wang Kai was definitely Boss Tiger's disciple. Moreover, based on his young appearance, he could not be that powerful. After all, in the entire Dark Mountain, there was only one genius, young Master Wu. In the entire world, there was definitely no other young Master Wu. For example, Zhen Feng's two disciples had cultivated for more than 30 years to reach their current level. "You don't know what's good for you." Boss Wu sneered in disdain. If they wanted to cause trouble for Wang Kai, they would be digging their own graves. They wouldn't even know how they died. "What are you two doing here?" Wang Kai frowned and asked knowingly. "Hee, of course I'm here to kill you. How about it? Kneel down. If we plead on your behalf, maybe Master will accept you as a disciple. It's better than following Boss Wu and living the life of a fugitive, right?" Hearing their words, Zhen Feng sneered complacently and said, "My two disciples are right. As long as you kneel down and kowtow to me now and acknowledge me as your master, I can spare your life and accept you as my disciple. I'll teach you some real skills. You're dead for sure. Even if you don't die, your end will be miserable." With that, Boss Tiger put away his dagger. He had no intention of continuing the fight. Now that he had provoked Wang Kai, even if he wanted to fight, he wouldn't have the chance. "What? Boss Wu, are you afraid of me?" "Ha ha ha." Zhen Feng laughed out loud. He thought that Boss Wu was afraid of him. Otherwise, why would he stop in a fight between masters? What was the difference between that and seeking death? "I'm afraid of you? Oomph, I'm just pitying you. It's a pity that I can't kill you with my own hands." Boss Wu snorted in disdain. "Kid, have you thought about it?" The middle-aged man sneered. "Think about what? You three will kneel down and kowtow to me and acknowledge me as your master? That's not good, is it? No matter what, I'm a respectable person. How can I accept disciples so casually? You guys should just forget about it. Go home and find your own mothers. Eat your own mother's blood. Wang Kai smiled casually with his hands behind his back. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of Zhen Feng and the two disciples instantly turned gloomy. You're just like your master. You don't know what's good for you. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Kill him. Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, the two middle-aged men attacked Wang Kai from both sides. Even though they knew that he was not strong, they could not let their guard down. After all, to be Basu's disciple, he must have some skills. Are you here to make fun of me? Wang Kai frowned. With a sweep of his gaze, two streams of green, primal chaos force shot out. The two middle-aged men were blown away on the spot. Their bodies vanished without a trace. What? This scene caused Zhen Feng's expression to change drastically. Even Boss Tiger sucked in a deep breath of cold air. They knew that Wang Kai was strong, but they did not know that he could attack with just a glance. What was that green light? Where did Zhen Feng's two disciples go? Were they really dead? Demonic arts. Zhen Feng cried out in alarm and hurriedly turned around and ran up the mountain. Even though he did not know what that green light was, the feeling that Wang Kai gave him was too dangerous. Only now did he understand that this young man was not Boss Hu's disciple. Even if there were 10,000 Boss Hu, they would not be able to match up to this young man. Where are you going? Can you run? After acting tough, you want to run? Do you think you're the main character? F***CK. Wang Kai frowned and slapped with his hand, causing Zhen Feng's legs to explode on the spot. Following this, cries of agony could be heard endlessly. Hurry up and kill him. Then, we'll head up Dark Mountain. Wang Kai casually swept his gaze over the area. After he finished speaking, he began to leisurely walk up Dark Mountain. Bossu, don't kill me. Don't kill me. What happened back then really had nothing to do with me. Poof. However, no matter how much Zhen Feng begged, Bossu did not hesitate. He waved his dagger and slit Zhen Feng's throat. Even if it has nothing to do with you, that won't do. If he wants you to die, then you can't live. Bossu licked his lips and laughed coldly. On Dark Mountain, in the vast training grounds, there were hundreds of disciples cultivating. Among them, there were many powerful experts. Everyone was stunned by the sudden appearance of Wang Kai. However, they all treated him as a new disciple of Dark Mountain. After a few glances, they continued to cultivate. Who are you? Whose disciple are you? As the head of the martial arts instructors, Macro walked over with a frown. Every disciple had a different time to cultivate. Hence, they were all separated to cultivate in the training grounds. Macro, who was in charge of these hundreds of disciples, naturally did not recognize Wang Kai. My name is Wang Kai. I'm not anyone's disciple. I'm here to find your Dark Mountain's leader. What I want to do is to kill him. Do you understand now? You can go and find your leader. Come out and die. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Chapter 1194. Did you see that? Splitting the heavens and earth is simply a piece of cake for me. Do you all understand the power behind this? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled with a rather prideful expression. Amazing. Boss Hu swallowed his saliva and gave Wang Kai a thumbs up. He had never seen such a scene before. If anyone could perform such a feat, it would definitely scare them to death. Instructor Macro, save me. Save me. Help! Ah! Screams of agony filled the air as all the disciples were beaten into the ground. Macro was the head of the martial arts instructors. When he heard the cries for help, how could he possibly save them? Or rather, he could not even save himself. His entire body was hanging from a tree as he looked down at the cracked mountain. His face was pale with fright. Senior, expert, please spare my life. I know you're amazing. I know. Macro screamed loudly and begged for mercy. Wang Kai pursed his lips and dispersed his power. The ground and sky returned to their original state. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. But it was unbelievably real because those who died and went underground no longer existed. As for where they went, Macro knew very well that they must have died in the cracks. Wouldn't it be great if I knew how awesome Ben Shao was earlier? At least I wouldn't have died. Wang Kai shrugged and said helplessly. He looked at the remaining 100 or so disciples. Just one look was enough to make them retreat in a hurry. Their faces were pale as they knelt on the ground. Expert, please spare our lives. We failed to recognize your greatness. Please spare our lives. Under Macros' lead, everyone knelt on the ground. They were so scared that they could not stop trembling. They did not even dare to lift their heads. Your mountain master, Before he could finish his sentence, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at the 7 figures that appeared. He was instantly curious. The leader of the group was a masked Dark Mountain's mountain master dressed in white robes. Behind him were 3 pairs of middle-aged men and women. Senior, did you come to Dark Mountain to take revenge for Boss Tiger? The Dark Mountain master asked in a low voice. His tone was grave. The others were the same. Wang Kai's strength and the commotion he caused were all in their eyes. Even if all of them attacked together, they would definitely not be a match for such an expert. You can say that. He brought a lot of benefits to Ben Shao. So, it's only right to help someone with money. Wang Kai shrugged and said with an indifferent expression, Boss Hu, the death of your family has nothing to do with Dark Mountain. Even though it was Dark Mountain that acted, the order was not given by Dark Mountain. When he heard Wang Kai's words, the Dark Mountain master turned to look at Boss Tiger. You were the ones who killed him, so I naturally have to look for you. However, who was the one who gave the order? Is there anyone in this world who can order Dark Mountain around? Boss Tiger laughed coldly with disdain. He thought that Boss Tiger was just looking for an excuse. Of course there is. The royal family can. The Dark Mountain master said flatly. Royal family? When he said that, Boss Tiger laughed viciously. Stop looking for a scapegoat. The royal family is nothing before Dark Mountain. How can they order you around? Boss Tiger, the Mountain Master is right. The royal family may seem weaker than Dark Mountain in name, but in reality, the royal family is above Dark Mountain. That's right. Don't forget that the royal family has millions of soldiers. A couple echoed in unison. Millions of soldiers. Boss Tiger frowned and fell silent for a moment. With millions of soldiers, it would be easy for them to destroy Dark Mountain. They would not even need to waste any effort. In the blink of an eye, Dark Mountain would disappear from the world. On the other hand, the royal family was afraid of Dark Mountain because the elites of Dark Mountain could easily sneak into the palace and kill the emperor. Even if the royal family had millions of soldiers, they could not be guarding the palace all the time. The people who brought people to destroy your family were Zhen Feng and Macro. We did not go, the Dark Mountain master said coldly. Mountain Master, you can't say that. Macro was shocked when he heard that. He quickly looked at Boss Tiger and exclaimed, Boss Tiger, I went there to save Zhen Feng, not to destroy your family. I promised that I didn't kill a single one of your family members. It was all done by Zhen Feng alone. Zhen Feng did it all by himself. Boss Tiger laughed coldly and said in a low voice, You can't run away. Since you went there, you had a part in it. You whoosh. Macroscopic took a deep breath and hurriedly fled, not daring to stay any longer. What a joke! With a powerhouse like Wang Kai here, wanting to survive was simply a fool's dream. In fact, he didn't even have the slightest confidence that he would be able to escape. I'll do it for you. Without waiting for Boss Tiger to ask Wang Kai to help, the Dark Mountain master took out a dart and threw into the air. It pierced through Macros' leg. Mountain Master, Macros' face instantly turned livid. He fell to the ground and glared at Dark Mountain's Mountain Master with bloodshot eyes. Not only did he not help, he even attacked him. Even if he knew that friendship was rare in the martial world and that most of them were cold, he still could not let go of this when it happened to him. Die. Bossu did not mind at all. He hurriedly stepped forward and brandished his long saber. In an instant, he chopped off Macros' head. Blood immediately sprayed all over the ground, and a large head rolled into the distance. Furthermore, it was still staring with its eyes wide open. It died with its eyes wide open. You're wearing a mask. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at the dark mountain master carefully. Halfway through his words, he realized that the dark mountain master was a woman, and a beautiful woman. She was many times more beautiful than the empress and the imperial concubine. She was on the same level as the goddesses in the world of cultivation. If she was so beautiful in the mortal world, how beautiful would she be if she went to the world of cultivation and changed her bones? Looking at her age, she should only be 21 or 22 years old. She's younger than the empress and the imperial concubine, but she told the world that the empress and the imperial concubine are her younger sisters. She disguised herself as a man and hid her gender and age. Interesting. Wang Kai stroked his chin and found it funny. Boss Tiger, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. The two people who killed your family are now dead in your hands. Also, the culprit is the royal family. What do you plan to do? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked calmly. The Heaven-Destroying Divine Emperor by Dongmen Yi Dao. The Strongest Emperor by Dongmen Yi Jian. They are all mine. Chapter 1195. Wang Kai did not want to miss the chance to meet such a beautiful woman in the mortal world. But he could not go back on his promise to Boss Hu. Even though the Dark Mountain Master had a lot to do with the murder of Boss Hu's family, there was still the old saying, every wrong has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. If it was really done by the royal family, then I will definitely cause trouble for the emperor. But I don't believe them. Boss Hu gritted his teeth and said, everyone knew that Dark Mountain was the strongest place in the world. Would the royal family really order Dark Mountain around? Would they not hesitate at all? Would they not be worried that Dark Mountain would be displeased and order people to sneak into the palace and kill the emperor? That was why Boss Hu did not believe them at all. Everything I said is true. This is the imperial edict sent by the royal family. You can take a look at it. Also, it was because of this imperial edict that I wanted to rebel, the Dark Mountain Master said flatly. The moment he finished speaking, he took out the imperial edict from his bosom and threw it at Boss Hu's feet. It can't be a lie that she's going to rebel. Wang Kai shrugged and said to Boss Hu. He had already found out from the empress and the imperial concubine. That was why it could not be fake. It was really done by the royal family. Boss Hu glanced at the imperial edict and instantly became furious. An imperial edict was not something that could be easily faked. Moreover, as a martial artist, Boss Hu had seen the imperial edict before. He stole the painting of the autumn wind, the most precious treasure of the tiger family. He must have already ordered people to use that painting to infiltrate the world of cultivation. That is why I want to take it back and make Dark Mountain stronger. The Dark Mountain Master said in a low voice. You are right, Mountain Master. We wanted to keep the treasure, but in the end, the royal family used an army of 1,000,000 to fight against us. That is why Mountain Master had no choice but to give the painting to the royal family. A middle-aged woman said sternly. The others hurriedly nodded. Oh, if that's the case, then Dark Mountain is also a victim. Wang Kai said in surprise. Everyone's faces froze when they heard that. They were very embarrassed. What? Am I wrong? If it weren't for the appearance of that painting that could lead to the world of cultivation, the royal family wouldn't have used millions of soldiers to oppress Dark Mountain. On the other hand, Dark Mountain wouldn't have had the thought of rebelling, right? Wang Kai shrugged as he spoke with a matter-of-fact expression. That's true. The Dark Mountain Master and the others nodded in agreement. I still don't believe it. If the royal family dared to oppress Dark Mountain like this, would you let the emperor live? I'm afraid the emperor is already dead, Boss Tiger retorted coldly. The emperor is indeed dead, but now there's a second emperor. Even if we continue killing, there's still the kings, crown princes, and princes. No matter how powerful Dark Mountain is, it is impossible for us to kill so many people, the Dark Mountain Master said flatly. The emperor is dead? Hulida was dumbfounded when he heard that. He had never heard of such a thing before. The Mountain Master is right. The emperor is already dead. Also, the royal family knows that it was Dark Mountain who did it, so they've been studying the autumn wind painting. They don't dare to fall out with us. If they choose to fall out with us and send millions of soldiers to attack Dark Mountain, we can still survive if we run away separately. In the end, the royal family will be the ones at a disadvantage. Of course, we don't want to live the life of a fugitive. The other Dark Mountain elites all sighed as well. The peace they had now was only obtained after they killed the emperor. If not for that, the royal family would have gone from bad to worse. Then who is the current emperor? Wang Kai asked curiously. He thought that the empress and concubine were second-hand goods. Now it seemed like there was a third hand. There is no emperor for now. The empress and concubine, who are my two younger sisters, are in charge. Of course, they're only in charge of the emperor in name. The real power is decided by the royal family through discussion, the Dark Mountain Master said. If that was the case, the empress and concubine were just puppets pretending to be the emperor. They were only alive because of Dark Mountain. In the current royal family, the ones who had the final say were the royal family. F***CK. How many hands have they gone through? Wang Kai's face darkened. Black lines appeared on his forehead. He thought that there was a third hand, but now there was another royal family. How many people were there in a royal family? F***CKU. Wang Kai's lips twitched. He was extremely annoyed. Master, why are you angry? The Dark Mountain Master asked with a worried tone. He was afraid that his words would anger Wang Kai and bring disaster to Dark Mountain. It was true that the royal family could destroy Dark Mountain, but they could not destroy all the elites, especially the top 10. But with Wang Kai's ability, he could destroy the world with a wave of his hand. No matter where they hid, they would still die in the end. Your two younger sisters now, cough cough, who are they with now? Wang Kai frowned and asked speechlessly. The Dark Mountain Master was stunned. He did not understand why Wang Kai would ask such a question. They aren't with anyone. I sent powerful fighters from Dark Mountain to protect them at all times. No matter if it's day or night, they never leave their side. They don't know about this. That's why I can answer you with certainty. The Dark Mountain Master's mind was in a mess as he answered. He could not understand Wang Kai's motive at all, so he could only speak according to the facts. Hearing that, Wang Kai's feeling of loathing disappeared a lot. Do you want to go to the cultivation world to train? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked calmly. Me? Me? The Dark Mountain Master was stunned and asked tentatively. That's right, you. Do you want to go to the cultivation world? With Ben Shao around, you will definitely become a powerful warrior. Yes, if you look at the mortal world and go to the cultivation world, you will be the only one who can become a powerful warrior. The others will not be able to achieve much. Wang Kai shrugged and spoke the truth. With his divine sense, he found that only the Dark Mountain Master's talent could be considered to be above average in the cultivation world. The others could not even be considered to be below average. Of course, there were a few who could barely be considered to be below average. Of course I'm willing, but what about my two younger sisters? The Dark Mountain Master's voice was filled with nervousness, but his heart was also filled with excitement. This was a chance that he could not get even if he begged for it. But he was worried about his sister's situation, which was why he was hesitant. They are at the foot of the mountain. Of course, they will go to the cultivation world with you. Their talent may not be enough, but with Ben Shao's help, they might be able to become a normal, powerful warrior. Wang Kai shrugged and spoke calmly. The Heaven-Destroying Divine Emperor by Dongmen Yi Dao. The Strongest Emperor by Dongmen Yi Jian. All of them are mine. Bookmark, support, repeat, and thank you. Chapter 1196. At the foot of the mountain, the Dark Mountain Master was stunned. He thought for a while and asked in a low voice, "Are they in your hands? What did you do to them?" When he remembered Wang Kai asking about his sister, the Dark Mountain Master's heart sank. His sister was at the foot of the mountain. He even heard that she had been kidnapped. Could it be that Wang Kai was the one who did it? I really didn't expect that a powerful person like you would do something as despicable as kidnapping people, the Dark Mountain Master said coldly. He was afraid that Wang Kai would get angry and kill everyone in Dark Mountain, including himself. But when it came to his family, the Dark Mountain Master would not choose to back down. He would rather die than submit. He would even fight with his life on the line. Regarding this, Wang Kai was quite appreciative. He nodded and said, "I didn't kidnap them, it was this guy. It has nothing to do with me. But don't worry, they are all safe and sound. They didn't suffer any torture or bad treatment." At the same time, Wang Kai added in his heart, "They did it willingly. Yes, they willingly sat on me. It has nothing to do with me." "That's right. Bossu, why did you kidnap my sister? Are you trying to use them to threaten me so that you can take revenge?" The Dark Mountain Master asked coldly. Since a powerful person like Wang Kai had taken the initiative to explain, it meant that he would not lie. The Dark Mountain Master believed that the powerful would never lie to the weak. This was the law of the martial world, because in front of the powerful, the weak were as weak as ants. What was the point of lying? Tell her. Don't tell her that Bin Xiao asked you to kidnap them. Besides, Bin Xiao really didn't ask you to kidnap the Empress and the Imperial concubine. Before Bossu could finish speaking, Wang Kai hurriedly sent a voice transmission to remind him. No matter what, the Dark Mountain Master was going to be brought to the world of cultivation. Sooner or later, he would eat her. If that was the case, how could he leave a bad impression on her? "Yes, you're right. You're right." Boss Tiger gritted his teeth and said with a stiff expression. Although he didn't know why Wang Kai was acting like this, there was nothing he could do. The weak could only lower their heads in front of the strong. What's more, Wang Kai was willing to help her take revenge. With such kindness, what was wrong with taking the blame for him? Despicable and shameless, Boss Tiger. I really didn't expect you to be such a despicable person. If I knew you would be like this, I would have personally killed your entire tribe. Dark Mountain's Mountain Master scolded coldly. If it were not for Wang Kai supporting him, the Dark Mountain Master would have already attacked and ended his life. Why would he waste his breath and scold him? "Shut up." Boss Tiger gritted his teeth and let out a roar. Even though he knew that he was taking the blame for Wang Kai, he still couldn't bear to hear about the extermination of his entire clan. If you don't want people to know about it, then don't do it in the first place. Now that I know about your despicable actions, you won't let me scold you? Boss Tiger, as expected of a fugitive. Dark Mountain Master snorted disdainfully. "That's enough. Stop venting your anger. As long as your two sisters are fine, let's forget about this for now." Wang Kai waved his hand and quickly sat down as the peacemaker. After all, Boss Tiger was taking the blame for him. He couldn't just let him continue being scolded, could he? At this, Bossu was so angry that his body was shaking nonstop. He felt extremely wronged. Originally, nothing had happened to him, but because he took the blame, he was scolded by Dark Mountain Master. If it had been any other reason, it would have been fine. But he had to use the extermination of his entire clan as an excuse. It was absolutely detestable. "Yes, Senior. Since you're pleading for mercy on your behalf, I won't blame you for your mistakes. You should rejoice. If you hadn't protected my two sisters and nothing happened, you would have died today." Dark Mountain's Mountain Master said coldly. The moment he said those words, Boss Tiger sucked in a sharp breath. It was easy to imagine the grievance in his heart. It had nothing to do with him, but he was the one who caused all the trouble. Instead, Wang Kai had turned him into a powerful senior. He was praised, flattered, and even thanked. What's there to be angry about? Without Bin Xiao, would you have been able to get your revenge? Now, Bin Xiao wants to take away Dark Mountain Master and her two sisters. With your abilities, if Dark Mountain doesn't stop you, it should be easy for you to kill the people from the royal family and take back the treasure, right? Wang Kai's expression was calm, but he was sending him a mental reminder. He was afraid that Boss Tiger would not be able to hold himself back and shout that he was the one who told him to do all this. If that happened, he would be finished. "All right, thank you for your kindness, Senior. I will definitely remember it," Boss Tiger said through gritted teeth. Boss Tiger, please leave Dark Mountain as soon as possible. I don't want to see you again, or else I won't be able to hold myself back and kill you. Dark Mountain Master ordered him to leave coldly. All right. I'll leave. Boss Tiger left with endless sadness and anger. Don't worry. The people from Dark Mountain will not help the royal family anymore, and they won't cause you any trouble. If you want, you can work with them. Suddenly, Dark Mountain Master spoke. Hearing this, Boss Tiger was stunned. He stopped and said in a low voice, "Thank you, Dark Mountain Master." If that was the case, then he would be able to save himself a lot of trouble. When he thought of this, Boss Tiger's unpleasant feelings instantly disappeared. Boss Tiger, good luck. Take back the treasure. Let's do it together. Ha! The elites from Dark Mountain all knew that their Mountain Master was about to leave with Wong Kai. That was why they were the strongest in the world right now. If they could pull Boss Tiger to their side, they would naturally be happy to do so. The moment he finished speaking, the elites of Dark Mountain clasped their fists and bowed towards the Dark Mountain Master. Then, they left with Boss Hu. Without Dark Mountain to worry about, they were the strongest. No matter how strong the royal family's army of 1 million was, they could not do anything to them. Instead, their elusiveness would make the royal family afraid. What about the other disciples of Dark Mountain? What should we do? Wong Kai narrowed his eyes and asked curiously. Dark Mountain Master, and Lu Mei thought for a while, then said in a pleading tone, "If Master has a way, please send them out of Dark Mountain. Let them go and train on their own." That's good too. Wong Kai was naturally happy to do so. With a wave of his hand, he brought all the disciples of Dark Mountain into the air. Your Mountain Master said that you can leave and live on your own. From now on, there is no more Dark Mountain, Wong Kai said flatly. Chapter 1197. When they heard this, the faces of many Dark Mountain disciples froze. Most of them were filled with doubt. They did not understand what Wong Kai meant. He is my master. He is right. From now on, you can all leave. Dark Mountain no longer exists, the Dark Mountain Master said flatly. Whoosh! When Dark Mountain's Mountain Master personally spoke, the disciples of Dark Mountain finally understood what was going on. For a moment, they fell silent. They had indeed learned a lot of skills when they were learning in Dark Mountain. Besides, with the protection of the Dark Mountain Master, they were respected in the world of martial artists, the circle of officials in the court, and even the royal family. But now, not only were they about to lose their place and chance to improve, they were also about to lose their protection. That was why many of the Dark Mountain disciples found it hard to accept. You need your own experiences to explore and survive, not to seek protection from others. Do you understand? The Dark Mountain Master said flatly. As the master of a mountain, it was only natural that he could tell what the disciples were feeling. But they also had their own goals and dreams of becoming powerful. That was why they had to leave this place and follow Wong Kai to the world of cultivation. Yes, Mountain Master. The Dark Mountain disciples nodded their heads. Just as they were about to kneel down and thank him, they realized that they were already hanging in midair. For a moment, the disciples cried out in surprise. They were so scared that their faces turned pale. Wong Kai could be said to be speechless, and black lines appeared on his forehead. How slow was his reaction to be able to do this? Just how much trauma did the Dark Mountain Master's departure leave them? All of you leave. Wong Kai glanced at them flatly, then waved his hand and sent all of them out of Dark Mountain. They all went to places far away from this place. They were all spread out, so each of them had their own place. My little sister, your little sister is here. Before the Dark Mountain Master could finish speaking, Wong Kai waved his hand gently and brought the carriage that was parked at the foot of the mountain to him. Little sister. When the Dark Mountain Master saw this, he quickly ran to the front of the carriage and lifted the curtain. When he looked inside, he was stunned. Dark Mountain's Mountain Master was stunned. He turned his head mechanically and looked at Wong Kai. Wasn't it his sister who was sleeping soundly without a stitch of clothing? Why are you looking at me like that? Wong Kai rubbed his nose and feigned ignorance. Naturally, he knew why she looked at him like that, but he couldn't say it out loud. At least, he couldn't say it now. When they reached the world of cultivation, even if they said it out loud, what could they do to him? It had to be said that Wang Kai admitted that he was indeed shameless. Don't you know what they look like now? Dark Mountain Mountain's mountain master asked suspiciously. What does he look like? Wang Kai frowned, a puzzled look on his face as he made a move to step forward. Let me see. Do you think something can happen under my protection? Wait, don't come over, don't come over. When the Dark Mountain Mountain's mountain master saw that Wang Kai was about to walk over, she quickly waved her hand to stop him. Her previous suspicions had all disappeared. Instead, he thought that his younger sister had such a habit of sleeping. What do you mean you won't let me see? Then what were you saying just now? I can't stand you slandering me like that. Let me see what happened to them immediately. Wang Kai frowned and pretended to be displeased as he harumphed coldly. The Dark Mountain Mountain's mountain master was extremely hesitant and troubled. He had never thought that his suspicions would actually bring him so much trouble. How was she going to explain this to Wang Kai? Was she going to let him see? This was simply impossible. No, nothing happened to them. I saw wrongly. Yes, I saw wrongly. Master, don't worry. The Dark Mountain Mountain's mountain master quickly waved his hand and explained. At that moment, she panicked. That won't do. How can you treat me like this? I've always been an upright gentleman. I have to make everything clear. Otherwise, if I leave behind something to be used against me in the future, won't my good name become an eternal curse? Let me see. Wang Kai frowned and harumphed unhappily. He immediately walked to the front of the carriage and lifted the curtain to take a look. He pretended to be stunned. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the early stage of itinerant immortal. Host, Wang Kai profession, immortal cultivator realm, early stage of itinerant immortal skills, none immortal equipment, none bragging points. For 400 experience points, 03000 foot early stage of itinerant immortal, my experience points increased to 3,000. Wang Kai casually glanced at it and activated his will to close it. Now that he was a triple cultivator, he really did not care about how high his immortal realm was. I'm sorry. Wang Kai quickly turned his head away and pretended to be apologetic. He repeatedly bowed and cupped his fists in apology. That apologetic look made it seem as if he had really committed a grave sin. Dark Mountain Mountain's mountain master was rather surprised by this situation. He had never thought that a powerful martial artist like Wang Kai would have such an upright and shy side. Chapter 1198. Then what exactly do you want? The Dark Mountain mountain master was speechless. She wondered if Wang Kai was being too righteous. No wonder he hadn't come into contact with any woman until now. How could any woman be willing to get close to such an upright man, and an overly upright man at that? If that was the case, wouldn't he be boring and old-fashioned? Little did she know that the more she thought about it, the happier Wang Kai was. Seeing that the matter was almost settled, Wang Kai nodded and smiled. I only hope that you won't blame me. I really can't stand this. Yes, this is all a misunderstanding. It has nothing to do with you. So, Master, please don't take it to heart, the Dark Mountain master said softly. All right, since you've said so, I won't think too much about it. But, how are they going to explain their innocence? If not, I'll marry them both. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again. In the end, he finally revealed the thoughts in his heart. Master, do you really have such intentions? You're not lying to me? The Dark Mountain master asked in disbelief. How could a powerful person like Wang Kai bring up the matter of marriage? The Dark Mountain master knew very well that if Wang Kai wanted a woman, no matter how beautiful she was, he would be able to get it easily. If that was the case, would he still want to take responsibility just because he saw his two sisters' bodies? After all, his sister was already married to the emperor. Even though the emperor was dead, she was still his wife. Little did he know that the empress and the imperial concubine were not as simple as seeing their bodies. Both sides had already competed against each other in all kinds of martial arts. Otherwise, they would not have fainted from exhaustion. Of course. Do I look like a liar? You underestimate me too much. In this world, I believe that the most beautiful thing is to keep one's word. The style of a gentleman can never be erased. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a serious expression, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points." This Dark Mountain's mountain master felt helpless. Wang Kai's integrity was a little too much, and he was still praising himself nonstop. It was to the point that the Dark Mountain master suspected that Wang Kai was boasting on purpose. In fact, was his sister's matter related to Wang Kai? With that thought in mind, the Dark Mountain master was stunned. He suddenly had a bad feeling about this. "Master, why are my sisters still sleeping soundly here when they were captured?" Dark Mountain's mountain master asked curiously. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, Wang Kai's mind was suddenly shocked, and he thought to himself, "This is bad. Damn it, I must have gone overboard and aroused her suspicion." Wang Kai pretended to be calm on the surface, but in his heart, he was filled with horror. He secretly thought that a woman's perception was too strong. He could only blame himself for going overboard with his lies. There were some things that needed to be done appropriately. That was the best plan. With that thought in mind, Wang Kai glared at her and said coldly, "Do you know what kind of crime it is to slander your master in the world of cultivation? You'll be stripped naked and fried in a pot of oil." Fried in a pot of oil? You'll be stripped naked? Hearing this, the Dark Mountain master's body trembled. It was difficult to accept such a crime. Even in the mortal world, there is no such punishment, right? "Master, I don't mean to slander you. I'm just curious. Since my sisters were kidnapped, why are they still sleeping soundly? And they're not even wearing anything. That's why I really don't understand," the Dark Mountain master quickly explained. Otherwise, before they could learn anything, they would be stripped naked and fried in a pot of oil. Wouldn't that be a great loss? The Dark Mountain master could not accept this. "You don't understand, and I don't understand either. Your sister is too open-minded, isn't she? She had clearly been kidnapped and became a hostage. How could she still be able to sleep? And sleeping naked?" Wang Kai's face darkened, and he pretended to be speechless. It was obvious that he was surprised. This Dark Mountain's mountain master was instantly embarrassed by the question. He didn't expect that Wang Kai's casual question would make him speechless. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have doubted him. Master," the Dark Mountain master was incredibly embarrassed. He did not know how to explain himself. Indeed, his sister was able to sleep soundly naked even after being kidnapped. This was too strange. "All right, since we can't explain it clearly, we'll talk about it after they wake up. Let's head to the immortal world now, and then to the God world," Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Immortal world? Divine world? Hearing this, the Dark Mountain master's interest was immediately piqued. He had heard of the immortal world and the God world before, but those were just stories that the scholars of the Jianghu talked about. Now, did the immortal world and the God world really exist? "Master, which one is more powerful?" the Dark Mountain master asked curiously. "Which one is more powerful?" "They're all the same, about the same." Wang Kai frowned and said casually, "There was indeed no difference between the immortal world and the God world. It was the same for the devil world. It was probably the same for the mutant world on Earth. The truly powerful ones were the top 3 universes. Even Wang Kai did not know what kind of cultivators were in those universes. But he would find out sooner or later. Then, "Master, where are you from?" the Dark Mountain master asked. "The God world." Wang Kai smiled faintly. "The God world. Master, you must be a very, very powerful martial artist in the God world, right? Don't you have any opponents?" The Dark Mountain master asked like a child. He was simply too curious about the world of the powerful. He was so curious that he could not stop himself. It was like going to a place you liked very much, but you could not sleep at night. Your mind was filled with thoughts about that place. You were filled with curiosity about everything. "I'm not the strongest, but I don't have any opponents." As a person, you have to keep a low profile. You have to be humble. You have to understand that harmony is the most important thing. Do you understand? My disciple. Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and put on the airs of a master, which was a rare sight. The Dark Mountain Master was full of admiration for him. To be able to have such an attitude after reaching such a level, he was really broad-minded. Even if it was him, when he became the strongest in the mortal world, he would also have thoughts of dominating the world. Chapter 1199. Is this the immortal realm? Wang Kai brought the Dark Mountain Master and the sleeping empress and imperial concubine to the immortal realm. They arrived at the immortal realm, where the Hunyuan immortal emperor Su Xian's cave abode was. Along the way, the Dark Mountain Master had seen countless amazing things. There were countless birds, beasts, and powerful people from all walks of life. Even the cave abode before him gave Dark Mountain Master a mysterious and unfathomable feeling. Yes, this is indeed the immortal realm. The owner of this cave abode is the immortal emperor of the immortal realm. In the immortal realm, the immortal emperor is like the emperor of the mortal realm. Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back, trying to show off how awesome he was. Like the emperor of the mortal realm? That's not that powerful, is it? The Dark Mountain Master shook her head. From what she knew, the emperor of the mortal realm was just a piece of trash who was as weak as an ant. If she wanted to kill him, she could. No, the immortal realm and the mortal realm are different. They are very different. The immortal emperor. Anyway, the immortal emperor is the ruler of the immortal realm. He is the strongest person. With a wave of his hand, he could destroy the sun, moon, and stars and kill all living things. He is a person who sees everything in the world as ants. Wang Kai frowned and explained, speechless. Then isn't he an evil person? He doesn't care about all living things? Master, you should have taken his life. Dark Mountain's Mountain Master said coldly. Even though she was the strongest person in the world, she still hated evil. Because of this, she had gathered a group of friends from Dark Mountain. It's not what you think. This is the gist of it. In their eyes, there is only cultivation. They don't care about anything else. If all living things stand in front of them, then they will destroy all living things in order to become stronger. Wang Kai frowned and explained in detail. This was to prevent the Dark Mountain Master from making a mistake and walking down the wrong path. If that happened, he would be causing trouble for himself. Oh, I understand. The Dark Mountain Master nodded slightly and said, Master, my name is Wu Daoqing. My second sister is Wu Daoyun, and my third sister is Wu Daoyu. Qing Yunyu? Wang Kai nodded with an appreciative smile, secretly thinking that these three names were quite good. Master, you're back. At the same time, Su Xian, the Hunyuan Celestial Emperor, stepped forward and bowed respectfully at Wang Kai. Master, she's your maid? Wu Daoqing asked in surprise. Didn't Wang Kai say that he never interacted with women? Why was there a servant girl in the celestial realm? Ahem, she is the immortal emperor of the immortal realm. She will be my maid for the time being. In fact, I didn't want to accept her, but she remembered my kindness and cried. She insisted on doing this. I was afraid that she would have bad thoughts, so, alas. Wang Kai waved his hand and pretended to be sad as he sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. The immortal emperor of the celestial realm. Hearing this, Wu Daoqing was shocked. He never thought that Wang Kai's maid would be the ruler of the celestial realm. The immortal emperor? Moreover, the immortal emperor was a woman, and such a beautiful woman. More importantly, Wang Kai could make the immortal emperor owe him a favor. Didn't that mean that Wang Kai was more powerful than the immortal emperor? Just what kind of valiant master did he recognize? Master, Su Xian pursed her red lips. Hearing their conversation, she was quite puzzled in her heart. At the same time, she was also annoyed. She was forced to become Wang Kai's maid. But now he said that she begged him, and she cried and cried to become his maid? If this were to spread out, where would the immortal emperor's face be? Oh, She's my disciple. Bring her along with you to cultivate. Where is the celestial maiden's disciple? Wang Kai had his hands behind his back as he casually spoke. Disciple, another disciple. Moreover, it was a female disciple. Su Zian's forehead was filled with black lines. She silently mused that Wang Kai's reputation in the immortal martial domain was definitely real. If not, why would he bring a female disciple with him when he returned? Not only that, there were two other females in the carriage. Although Su Zian didn't pry, she could still sense it. Replying to Master, the celestial maiden is currently in closed-door seclusion. She should need 10 days before she successfully breaks through and exits seclusion, stepping into the nascent soul realm. Su Zian lightly replied, she could reach the nascent soul realm in 10 days. Upon hearing this, Wang Kai was taken aback. He didn't expect that with the personal guidance of an immortal emperor, the speed of cultivation would be so fast. If it was someone else wanting to reach the nascent soul realm, they would need at least a few years or even tens of years. It was basically impossible, right? Maybe they would need to use it even in 100 years. Not bad, not bad. Your guidance is not bad. Bring her along to cultivate as well. Try to get her on the right track as soon as possible. Wang Kai nodded his head in satisfaction. Su Zian furrowed her brows. After a few glances, she shook her head and said, Master, although she has spiritual roots, she started a little too late. I'm afraid it would be hard for her to catch up to the celestial maiden's speed. No worries, just slowly guide her in her cultivation. With regard to this, Wang Kai naturally understood the logic behind it. He waved his hands, deciding on this matter. If he could guide others in cultivation, he naturally wouldn't have begged Su Zian. After all, if he personally guided a female disciple, many wonderful things would definitely happen. Damn it, seems like I have to properly research on cultivation. When the time comes, I'll be able to recruit a lot of disciples. All of them are female disciples. Every time I recruit, I'll recruit 8 to 10,000, one per day. At the end of his thoughts, Wang Kai grinned and laughed out loud. Su Zian saw his lewd appearance, and her heart was filled with fear. She was afraid that something would happen to her, so she quickly replied, Yes, yes. Master, don't worry. I'll definitely guide her in her cultivation. Master, what about my sisters? Wu Daoqing asked hesitantly. Them? Don't worry. After they wake up, I will have Su Zian bring them to see you. At that time, you 3 sisters can cultivate together. Wang Kai said as if it was a matter of course with his hands behind his back. 3 sisters? Master, could it be that you already knew that I'm a woman? Wu Daoqing's delicate body trembled as she exclaimed, What kind of person am I? Is it that difficult to see through your gender? Aren't you insulting your master's intelligence? Wang Kai frowned and said with displeasure. Chapter 1200. You're awake? With his hands behind his back, Wang Kai stood there with an indifferent expression. In the carriage, the Empress and the Imperial concubine had woken up from their deep sleep and were dressed neatly. They hurried out of the carriage when they heard him. Where's this place? Don't you want to let us go? The Empress frowned and asked with displeasure. Sister, if we part ways with him, can we still experience that kind of pleasure? The Imperial concubine went forward and whispered, Whoosh. Hearing this, the Empress blushed immediately. Her beautiful eyes sparkled. She pursed her red lips and said, Shut up and wait at the side. This is the immortal realm, Wang Kai said calmly. Immortal realm? Hearing this, the Empress and Imperial concubine were both startled. They looked at each other and immediately covered their faces with their hands as they burst out laughing. Why don't you say this is the divine realm? It's more powerful than the immortal realm. You can brag about it, the Empress said with disdain. That's right. I've always heard storytellers say that the immortal realm is not as powerful as the divine realm. If you want to brag, you should brag about the divine realm, which is more powerful. The Imperial concubine laughed along. That's the definition of an ordinary person. Wang Kai glanced at them and said softly, The immortal realm and the divine realm exist at the same time. Although their cultivation methods are different, their strengths are similar. Or rather, immortal is God. God is immortal. Immortal is immortal. Immortal is immortal. Immortal is immortal. Immortal is immortal. The Empress and the Imperial concubine froze and stopped laughing. They thought Wang Kai was bragging on purpose. Who would have thought that he would answer so seriously? Could it be that this is really the immortal realm? All right, I'll send you outside to experience it. Wang Kai shrugged and turned around. With a wave of his hand, he brought the Empress and the Imperial concubine up into the sky. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm flying. No, I'll fall to my death. The Empress and the Imperial concubine were so scared that their faces turned pale. They didn't even dare to look down. It was too high. Looking at Wang Kai now was like looking at an ant. He was so small that it made people's hair stand on end. Don't worry, you won't fall to your deaths. Wang Kai was speechless at this. With a wave of his hand, he sent the two of them to various places far away so that they could experience the flying beasts and the immortal cultivators who could fly in the sky and burrow into the ground, as well as the conflicts between the cultivators and so on. In less than an hour, when the Empress and the Imperial concubine came back, they were so scared that their delicate bodies were trembling nonstop. Their eyes were dull, and they couldn't even say a word. I just saw a huge dragon and a fight between experts. One of the experts destroyed a mountain with a single slap. Was that a fake mountain? I saw it too. That's not a fake mountain. How could there be such a huge fake mountain in the world? They had seen a lot of things, and it was impossible for them to finish describing them in a short time. However, they remembered every single thing clearly, which was really too shocking. Do you believe that this is the immortal realm now? If not, I'll send you out again and let you experience it for yourself. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile. He deliberately sent them to a dangerous place just now to experience it. Although they wouldn't get hurt or make mistakes, the feeling of imminent danger was extremely real. No, we don't want to experience it. We believe it. Yes, that's right. We believe it. The Empress and the Imperial concubine quickly shook their heads and refused. Although they weren't sure whether this was the legendary immortal realm, at least the level of power was too incredible. Well, you will follow my maid to practice later. Of course, my maid is the immortal emperor. The so-called immortal emperor is the ruler of this immortal realm, the strongest person. With a wave of his hand, he can destroy all living things. Moreover, he can do it alone without the help of others. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at them as he said this. Practice? Follow the immortal emperor? Really? The Empress and the Imperial concubine's eyes lit up when they heard this. The strongest person in this place must be even more terrifying and ridiculously powerful. If they could practice with such a person, wouldn't they be able to become that kind of strong person in the future? Of course it's true, Wang Kai said lightly. Then, why don't you teach us personally? Since the immortal emperor is your maid, you must be even more powerful, right? The Empress pursed her red lips and said with anticipation. The Imperial concubine also came to her senses and expressed her agreement and confusion. You're my disciples in name. Of course, you have to follow the immortal emperor to practice. It's not that I don't want to teach you, but I can't teach you. My practice will kill you, and the survival rate is almost 0. Of course, if you survive, you will be invincible in the universe. Do you still want to learn? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said proudly, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 1,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the middle stage individual immortal realm. No. The Empress and the Imperial concubine immediately shook their heads and refused. The survival rate was almost 0. Who would dare to learn from him? Wouldn't that be courting death? They had just come to such a powerful place. Wouldn't it be a loss if they died on the way to becoming a strong person before becoming one? And it would be a great loss. What they didn't know was that Wang Kai was just bragging. After all, He didn't know how to teach people how to practice at all. However, he was the best at teaching people how to brag. But that kind of thing could be bragged by oneself. But if one didn't have the ability to brag to others, how could he survive? Moreover, when he bragged, he had to hide it from some people. Otherwise, if some unhappy people heard it, there would be a bloody battle. Therefore, in Wang Kai's opinion, bragging was also a kind of knowledge. Well, your sister, Wu Daoqing, is also here. She has entered this cave abode and is following my maid, the immortal emperor of the immortal realm, to practice. Later, you'll also enter. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and brought up the serious matter. My sister is also here. How do you know that the Dark Mountain Master is a woman? The Empress and the Imperial concubine were stunned for a moment before they came to their senses. But after asking, they guessed the answer. Wasn't it too easy for a strong person like him to know something? Don't tell your sister about what happened between you and me for the time being. No matter how she asks, you can't tell her. Just tell her that you were too tired to sleep in the carriage. As for sleeping without clothes, that's your own habit. Do you understand? Wang Kai shrugged and instructed with a serious expression. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.